Kyle Rittenhouse.
How would you have felt if you did not eat breakfast this morning?
Okay, well, hold on a second. Gonna go to Kyle Rittenhouse for a moment.
Wait, can we finish my hypothetical? How would you have felt? Can we finish the hypothetical?
Well, I didn't today, actually.
Okay.
But
Can we finish the hypothetical?
okay, but what you're talking about.
Let's finish off where we were at last time. So last time, Brian was getting completely demolished by these two, Kai Schwemmer, and I don't know who the other guy's name is, but the other guy was pretty based, even more based than Kai Schwemmer was. I call him Jonathan Taylor Thomas because that's who he looks like. But they disarmed Brian Shapiro when Brian Shapiro was trying to spurg about Trump because that's all he knows. And they quickly shut that down by saying, hey, look, I'm not Donald Trump. Donald Trump's not here. Quit talking about Donald Trump and let's talk about the facts. I'm not even a Donald Trump supporter, which devastated Brian. Seriously, it's like, well, what does he have left? What does he have left? It's like taking a boxer down to the ground, because a boxer is only as good at fighting if he's standing up. But as soon as you tackle him, it's over with. And that's pretty much what happened to Brian Shapiro. So let's see if he recovers. Let's see if he could do the rest of this debate without spurging about Orange Man.
Cases, undocumented immigrants are efficient in certain areas where they're not being treated as slaves or being used. Is it underneath the table? Sure. I know you don't want to talk about Trump, but he has employed a lot of people in his lifetime that have been undocumented at Mar-a-Lago.
And that's good.
So already he can't control himself. He can't stop with this Trump spring. He's like, I know you guys don't want to talk about Trump, but he is hiring a lot of illegals, huh? Trump, Orange Man, 34 count felon. He can't handle it.
Abuse, right? That's labor abuse.
Yes.
It depends on the circumstance. If you're paying someone a really good salary, but you're paying them under the table, I wouldn't necessarily call that abuse.
I would always call it abuse.
Okay, well, I wouldn't.
Paying into Social Security, they can't get it back out. That's abuse. Especially if we agree that as a citizen,
there are some undocumented immigrants that do pay taxes, believe it or not.
They do.
They do.
A lot of
That's what he's
them
talking
They
about.
pay him, but they get no benefits. That's like
Right.
a slave. You
But,
pay the government, they give you
Yeah,
everything back.
I don't want, but it goes back in a circular motion to what I said. I believe there is a better pathway than
Let's
this.
talk about it.
When
Here's the
you just want to correct me if I'm wrong, but you just want everybody that's undocumented to be deported.
Right now we are
everybody.
focusing on the young adult male who came here, doesn't have kids, doesn't have a wife.
Do you want everybody undocumented in this country to be deported? If you can snap the finger and do it tomorrow, leave their children here, leave their families here, because you don't. What's your feeling about anchor babies?
So there's variability in it. I think that some of the solutions offered by DACA were preferable to just deporting people blanket. But in general, that's a policy area that I think has a lot of gray area and would be better solved by specific experts in the field of immigration. But I can say I'm not for blanket deportation of every single child who's here or every single parent who is here. However, I think the greater problem, what I'd like to reach the common ground on, because we can agree at levels like this maybe should be an exception, this maybe should be an exception. I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the issue of should we deport what most people are, which is just people here illegally. And I think we should. And I want to talk about why. So codification. Obviously, we've agreed that keeping them all and doing nothing will not help. We've agreed that illegal immigrants, they can help the economy. They do. The only ways they can help it is through being either a slave or through being a legal immigrant who doesn't get benefits back. So it's pointless.
But
all of the problems.
You agree with me, though, that if you're born in this country and one of your parents is an undocumented immigrant, you should still be considered a legal citizen.
I'm waiting for the Supreme Court ruling on that, but currently it seems as though it will probably rule in your favor.
But regardless.
Well, if one of your parents is illegal, like if one parent is a citizen, the other's not, and they have a child here in the United States, then yes, I don't see why the child shouldn't stay here in this country. Yeah, but we're talking about anchor babies where it's like where they come here just to have their kid, so that way it's like, oh look, a kid is a citizen, you can't deport us. Who's going to take care of our kids? See, so now we got to stay here. That's exactly what an anchor baby is. It's to anchor them to this country. That's why they do it. That's why they're trying to get rid of the birthright citizenship, at least I think in those instances. Obviously, listen, if both your parents are citizens and they give birth to a kid, then yes, the kid's a citizen, but we're talking about parents who specifically come here to land their touchdown, plant their football here in the ground with their touchdown and be like, oh, see, look, now you should leave us here. That's what we're talking about.
This is the Supreme Court. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion on statutes is it should be interpreted by the United States Supreme Court.
So you don't have an opinion, just let the Supreme Court?
Off of morality of it? Because if you talk about the morality of birthright citizenship, it's a really complex topic. I don't want to go too into the weeds.
So
but
you're not sure whether Barron Trump is a legal citizen then?
Well,
I'm
hold
not
on.
sure what does that have to do with anything?
We're talking about anchor babies.
No,
Barron
it's
was
not that I'm
born in
not
this-
sure if he's legal. It's that you aren't sure either. Because
So now he's talking about Barron Trump. That's what he's getting at. Well, what if one of the parents wasn't born here? Talking about Melania. Well, what if one of the parents wasn't born here, huh? So then you think they should abort Barron Trump? By the way, who's the son of Donald Trump? 34 count felon. Aha! See, I'm still able to talk about Trump. I still got it.
I'm asking you your opinion. No, I'm very clear on this. Yes, I think yes. I'm answering my own question
You shouldn't
immediately.
be sure because it hasn't been ruled on by the Supreme
Okay,
Court
I
yet.
don't care. I'm not giving you my opinion on the Supreme Court.
You're talking about
The
legality.
Supreme Court also
Legality means
overturned
already-
Roe versus Wade. I think it's a joke.
Okay, that's irrelevant. Okay, you're talking about legality.
Well, you're
Or
talking
is
about.
Barron Trump here legally? That
You're
has
talk-
nothing. Is Barron Trump here legally? That has nothing to do with.
I
respect to Barron-
personally believe
Yes.
that if you're born in this country and one of your parents is undocumented, you are a legal U.S. American citizen.
hold
You can believe that,
Period.
but the Supreme Court's going to be. The
Do you hold on? Do you believe that it should be, or that you are? Because both of us will agree. Of course, you are, given
Yeah.
the current law.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
believe that they
It should stay that
be?
way.
Okay.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Well,
Just wanted to
but
clarify.
before we get into the weeds, I
Yeah.
want to go back to the issue of the illegal immigration because I feel like
Thank you very much, Keith, for getting that super chat goal started for the $2. You're ruining my argument. But Trump, checkmate. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Keith, for the $2. Very much appreciated.
we're constantly getting dragged away, and I think it's a very straightforward problem. The problem is what I consider to be unjust or immoral is something that rewards bad behavior and punishes good behavior.
Yeah.
A system where it makes it to where people who should be here are here instead,
Mhm.
and also they're placed in the position through
Mhm.
immoral means.
Mhm.
So like, talk about like, we have a duty to do things a certain way.
Mhm.
That's why I agree with you about the methods of deportation being wrong. No amount of good results can justify evil or bad behavior. I agree that we're seeing some level of bad behavior through our current deportation procedures, but we have to say, is the direction we're moving in correct? And I think it is. And the reason why is because if you talk about codification, first off, it hurts the rule of law, which we talked about has very negligible, or not negligible, very intense effects on a government. And it's a large subversion of rule of law because it would be upwards of 20 million people who are codified. That's a very large amount of rule of law violation. That we only have a country of like 380 million people. So it's a significant portion of our population who's only here because of a rule of law violation.
Yeah.
But in addition, we talk about hurting people who are good and helping people who do wrong.
Mhm.
If you look towards codification, if you are a immigrant in Mexico, or you're a person in
Yeah.
Mexico and you want to come to America,
Yeah.
there's 2 immigrants. We cannot let in every immigrant from Mexico. I think we can agree on this, right?
Can I just ask you something for what you just said, just to respond to something?
Yes.
You really
Yeah, can I ask you something? Listen, you haven't been talking about Trump, so I want to remind you that Donald Trump cheated on his wife, all his wives, by the way. Donald Trump also made fun of POWs. So let me remind you of that, okay? Because you're not talking about Trump enough.
you really think we're headed in the right direction?
I mean, like, as a policy, we're headed in the right direction, but no, not.
How?
I don't believe. I'm saying deportation better than not deportation, but actually,
I couldn't-
bad deportation.
I
is
know you
better.
don't like. I know you don't like
Yes.
talking in general terms about Trump.
I'm
and I-
saying that deciding to
Let me be
have
very
mass
clear.
deportations
Okay,
is the good direction.
I'm just
I'll
going to
clarify.
make a very clear statement here on everything that's going on in this country right now.
Yes.
I believe, for the most part, everything, including what you're talking about right now. I feel like we're heading in the wrong direction.
I actually agree on most of that. Yeah.
We could
But
talk
let's-
about
let's
the
talk about
economy. We could talk about
the economy.
immigration.
Brian, what is the
I just wish more people would tell this guy, who cares about how you feel, Brian? We don't care how you feel. All right, why don't you stick to the facts? Because that's his argument's always from emotion. It's always like, I feel, I think, I feel, I'm judging. It's just that's all this guy does. So I just wish more people would just be like, well, I don't care how you feel, Brian. I just don't care. I don't follow the book of Brian.
economy have to do with this, Brian? We're talking
The
about mass
economy has a lot to do
deportations.
with immigration.
Okay,
Lots to
no,
do.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
we've just talked about that issue, and I just nullified twice.
I just disagree with you when you said you think we're heading in the right direction.
Okay, well,
I couldn't disagree with you
allow
more.
me to clarify.
Okay.
When I say head in the right direction, I believe that the universal position that mass deportations are not good is worse than the universal position that mass deportations are good.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
But back to the issue. It rewards the unjust and hurts the just. There's 2 people, as we agree, we cannot take all immigrants from Mexico, or at least we won't,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So there's 2 people in Mexico. One person waits in the immigration waiting list for 10 years. They sit there and they try and get in, and they don't get in.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that happens. And even if they did get in, they had to wait 10 years. Another immigrant hops the border illegally or flies in, overstays his visas with most people.
Yeah.
And that immigrant is rewarded with codification down the road due to your ideal policy decision. What that does is it means that the good man in Mexico who waited is hurt, and the bad man in Mexico who came over the border illegally is helped.
Yeah.
Is that not the textbook definition of injustice and immorality?
I think you can make that argument. I think there's a lot of immoral, stuff going that you can go around it. We just fundamentally disagree. I do agree with what you're saying to an extent that, there should be rewards for people that have been in this country undocumented, but, maybe some sort of pathway. If you haven't committed a violent crime, you have a family here. I really, truly believe it should be a case-by-case basis.
Well, there is a pathway to citizenship.
I understand that, but here's the problem. And again, I know you don't like general terms here, but here's where I go with this. And by the way, I'm not even a registered Democrat, but I will tell you this. There is one party that is making it as difficult as possible for people to come to this country legally. And you hear MAGA Republicans particularly, maybe not Republicans.
See, he can't help it. He can't help himself. It's just always got to Trump or MAGA bad, and so now it's like MAGA is making it harder. It's like, well, how did MAGA make it harder to become a citizen? Did we tack on extra rules in order to become a legal citizen in this country? Or are we just trying to keep it how it always is and trying to stop you from degrading it any further? There's a difference there. Like, how are MAGA Republicans making it harder? Because as far as I know, we're not tacking anything on, are we? We're just we're not tacking anything on. We're just trying to stop them from degrading it even further.
MAGA Republicans say, in general terms, we want people coming in here the right way. We don't care what you look like. Oh, really? Then why is it when Democrats put bills forth in Congress to try to make the pathway to citizenship a little bit easier, like not 10 to 15 years, Republicans always vote against it? So,
okay, so it is just us trying to stop them from making it easier. Well, again, why do we have to make it easier? Why is everyone owed a spot here in the United States? Like, why does the rest of the world owed this spot here? Like, why do we have to make it easier? Why can't we just keep it the same and encourage everybody to come here the right way? What's wrong with that? He hasn't established that. It just goes against his feelings. That's all it is.
So I think many of these Republicans in DC are liars. Here's where I would agree with both of you. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I would be okay with mass deportation to an extent if becoming a legal citizen was much easier. It didn't take 10 or 15 years.
Okay, why?
Yeah, see, look, I would be for arresting criminals that stole expensive TVs as long as you made the TVs cheaper, okay? You wouldn't have to steal if you would just make everything cheaper.
You think you're okay with 10 or 15 years?
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, why would that change your position on the immoral policy of codification?
Because the reason why so many people are seeking asylum and so many people come to this country and they're not documented is because it's almost virtually impossible for them to come to this country legally. Those that are trying to seek asylum, those that are coming to other countries, in many cases, not all, they have no choice, or at least they feel like they have no choice.
These are unrelated points, though, because we're talking about mass deportation.
But I'm telling you.
Well, if they just feel like they have no choice, then why should we care about that? That's like saying, oh, yeah, I should go steal. I should go rob banks because I feel like I can't earn enough money just getting a job and working for it. That's exactly the type of logic that Brian Shapiro is employing here.
If in any aspect I could agree with mass deportation, then I would need both parties to come together and say, you know what? It shouldn't take 15 years for a nonviolent criminal, somebody who's educated, a decent human being, to come to this country legally. They shouldn't have to wait 10 or 15 years. If they're seeking asylum and they followed the law, which you guys want people to follow, okay, great, let's be consistent. They followed the law from Mexico and they're seeking asylum and grandmothers are getting tackled outside of courtrooms.
These positions are fundamentally unrelated.
But it's immigration we're talking about, and we're talking about mass deportation. And I'm telling you why I could agree with
Brian.
You. If this stuff wasn't happening in this country right now, a lot of my opinions tie to Donald Trump.
Brian, I have a question.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Brian just admitted right there that a lot of his opinions tie to Donald Trump. He just said it out loud. Like, we're always goofing on him, but dude, he just admitted it.
And I'm telling you why I could agree with you. If this stuff wasn't happening in this country right now, a lot of my opinions tie to Donald Trump.
Brian, I have a question.
Yeah.
If it was easier, do you believe that cocaine should only be illegal if it was easier for people to rise up through tax brackets?
You're comparing taking an
I'm
illegal drug
comparing
that
the
kills
fact-
people.
Because
No,
of something, no. Okay, you're not. I'm not comparing that. I'm comparing the fact that because people are
you can see it,
incentivized to break the
Section
law,
230.
that absolutely changes no amount of how they should be treated for breaking the law. So it's irrelevant. And
to
even then,
me,
so I don't want to talk about legal
to me,
immigration
it's not
and illegal.
irrelevant. And
how
I
is it
would
not
say
irrelevant?
that again. I know you didn't mean it this way.
It's like, seriously, it's like, hey, Brian, how do you feel about pineapple on pizza? Well, I heard Donald Trump likes pineapple on pizza, which means that I hate it. All my opinions are tied to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, who's a 34 count felon, he likes pineapple on pizza. So therefore, I'm against it. I hate it. It's disgusting. By the way, why do you like pineapple on pizza, huh? Why do you eat the same pizza that a man who has cheated on all of his wives, who says things about POWs, making fun of them, who said he doesn't like black people counting his money? How can you eat the same pizza that Donald Trump, a 34 count felon, eats, huh?
Comparing a drug that is illegal that kills people is very different than talking about many of these people, undocumented immigrants that are good human beings that don't want to harm you, don't want to harm me. So I think that's a very poor analogy with respect.
I agree that the illegals are not the bad people in this area. I mean, they're making a
Well,
mistake.
then you need to talk to a lot of MAGA Republicans in this country today.
Dude, where's MAGA's not in the room? We need to have like MAGA guy in the corner tonight. Yes
So,
or no?
If you're talking about,
Where is he? I can't find him.
if you're talking about immigration, you have to be able to
Hold on.
talk about the Trump administration
Brian,
too.
Brian, is your
See, he's like, Brian is like trying his best to, we need to bring back Trump. I can't talk about these issues without bringing up Trump. All right. I have to spur him out. He can't help himself. This guy needs psychiatric help. By the way, thank you very much to Defallen for the $2 for the grift. Thank you very much, brother. And thank you very much, Keith, for the $5. I put a screw through my fingertip today and it went underneath my nail. And listening to Brian Shapiro hurts more. Oof. Yeah. What happened to you today sounds painful, but yeah, I agree. I think listening to Bryce Shap hurts a lot more. Thank you very much, Keith, for the $5. Very much appreciated.
opinion of immigration going to change after Trump's out of office?
I think the policies will change.
Is your opinion about what the policy should be going to change when Trump is out of office?
Depends who takes over. Depends who takes over and what their positions
So
are.
your opinions about what a policy should be
Well, no.
depends entirely on who is
Trump's
president?
If Trump's policies,
Oh my gosh, this is wild. Your opinions on the policy depends entirely on who's president. Specifically depends on if Trump is president. Get it right, okay? If Trump is president, then I hate it all. But if Joe Biden or even Kamala Harris would have been president, I would be fine with it.
who takes over?
Going to change?
He's admitting in real time that he has TDS, that it's just all about Trump. That's all it is. Again, we goof on him and we all see it clear as day, but now he's just outright saying it.
Depends who takes over and what their positions
So
are.
your opinions about what a policy should be
Well, no.
depends entirely on who is
Trump's-
president?
If Trump's policies, if we're specifically talking about the way he's handling
No,
ICE,
we're talking about what the immigration
Okay.
law should be. Because,
Okay.
by the way,
I understand.
You already in this debate have made a normative claim about what law should be. You did this about birthright citizenship. You were
Sure.
able to say
well,
that
right now
birthright.
it's legal.
Well,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
We're talking about normative claims. We're
Mhm.
not talking about
Mhm.
a descriptive,
Hey, good to see you,
claim
Tyler.
of what the law is. You said you believe that birthright citizenship should be the law. We all
Well,
agree that it is the
It
law.
is the law right
So,
now.
hold on,
I don't
again,
think it should change. I
Perfect.
guess,
That is the claim.
yeah.
You don't believe it should change.
Yeah. Yep.
If there was a different president,
Mhm.
your opinion on that issue shouldn't change. As long as your opinions are heartfelt,
Why
as-
would it change? I don't understand what you're.
it shouldn't. That's the point we're
I never
making.
said-
We're saying that your immigration opinions
The
should not
policies-
depend solely on who is the president.
the
They should be
policies-
universal, which
the-
means that you should be able to respond to the questions that
Yeah,
he's
let's-
asking.
Which I
hear-
am, but the policies would change under a different president.
That's true. We all know that's true.
Yeah,
I
so
want to
it's-
go back into the issues here. So talking about codification, you agreed that codification is immoral a minute ago.
It depends on the circumstance. Give me an example, and then let's talk about
Example, there's a man in Mexico
Mm-hmm.
who wants to come in legally. He's doing all the precautions. He's not violating our sovereignty.
Mhm.
He gets denied or he gets accepted. Let's say we accept everyone from Mexico. He gets accepted, but it takes him even 2 years.
Mhm.
Even if we reduced it, like you're saying,
Mhm.
that's 2 years of waiting time where he's in Mexico.
it. 2 years is better than 15.
So
he's not seeking asylum, or he is?
Unrelated. He's trying to immigrate.
Did he fill out the necessary paperwork
He
that
just
the
wants to
government
be
asked
here.
you?
Yeah, he just filled out the paperwork. It took him 2 years to
Okay.
get through.
Okay. So
So
it's
then we're saying, okay, but so then there's another man
Yeah.
who flies in illegally, overstays his visa, violates our sovereignty, whether he's an evil man, I don't hate the guy, but obviously that's not the right thing to do. And now he's rewarded. So what we've done is we've created a system that rewards bad behavior and punishes good behavior. And there's many more examples where immigration codification policies are extremely immoral.
Well, you could also make the argument that there are laws in the United States of America sometimes that are immoral as well. But going back to what you just said, if you're seeking asylum from Mexico and you filled out the proper paperwork, the law says...
Not asylum, you want to immigrate.
Okay, but I use the term asylum, and I thought that's what we were referring to. It is illegal for us to deport somebody like that if they filled out the proper paperwork and they're seeking asylum. That was why I was bringing up Donald Trump, because they're breaking the law.
Yeah, well, I want to focus on avoid asylum. Obviously, there's tricky issues with the asylum system wherein like you can get an economic asylum.
But he didn't answer. Brian Shapiro didn't answer the question. He laid it out. He said, what if someone comes here to immigrate, fills all the paperwork, does everything the right way, compared to someone who comes over here, overstays their visa? Why are we rewarding the person that overstays the visa and not the person who did it the right way? Brian Shapiro's not answering that. He just, again, brings it back to Trump.
But what I just said is not tricky. Can we just agree on that?
Wait, what was your statement?
If you're seeking asylum and you filled out the proper paperwork, it is illegal for our government to deport you.
I think that's the statute. I mean, either way.
Doesn't that bother you?
What does what bother me?
That they're ripping up parts of our Constitution and they're arresting people outside of, I mean.
Yeah, my argument's rule of law based. Any rule of law violation.
Okay, so it bothers you that the Trump administration is breaking the law.
Yeah, I haven't looked in that specific scenario, but if that's illegal, yeah, that would bother me.
I'm surprised you don't know that.
Well, I mean, for me at least, I don't focus on everything.
This is a very important issue for you.
I don't focus on every single thing that Trump does because generally, I look at Trump's policy positions and I disagree with his actions here. I don't need to look for every single thing I disagree with.
But this is immigration specifically. I understand what you're saying. You're not going to know every.
Man, this little fucking weasel, Brian Shapiro, he figured it out. He somehow made it about Trump again. Like, this guy can't have a conversation without bringing up Trump. Someone brought up yesterday saying that there should be a challenge where it's like every time he mentions Trump, he gets a slap and see if he could do it. And I don't think he could. His face would be completely swollen. Because even with the threat of being slapped, he would not be able to do it. By the way, thank you very much, Eric Johnson, for becoming a YouTube member. Hell yeah, brother. Another documented citizen of the Coolverse. Thank you very much. Now, Eric Johnson gets access to past live streams. I shout him out when I see him, and he gets access to those sweet custom emojis. Thank you very much, Eric Johnson. Let's go.
Policy or agree or disagree. I understand that.
Yeah, but I'm from what I understand, you are. It seemed to be correct that statement. But either way, moving on to the morality of it, as we're saying, laws should be moral. Laws should be just. They should be good and just. We agree on that.
In general, yes, of course.
They should serve the American citizens.
Absolutely.
We agree on that, yes. So then, why is it that we're having a law which makes it to where people get rewarded for doing bad and hurt for doing good?
I don't agree with being rewarded from quote unquote doing something bad. At the same time, you'd have to define bad.
I can define bad.
Okay, well, there are.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Brian Shapiro asking definitions for words. Is Brian Shapiro gonna play some word games now? I thought he hated word games. He's always bitching and complaining when Andrew Wilson or Jay Dyer ask him, "Oh, define this word," or "What do you mean by this?" or whatever. He's like, your word games. How dare you? But now it looks like Brian Shapiro is trying to level up himself, now engaging in these word games.
Certain situations where technically it might be against the law to do something, but it wouldn't necessarily. Let me give you an example. American citizen can't put food on the table, doesn't have food stamps. Kids are starving. I don't condone people that shoplift. It's against the law. But I understand. I understand why somebody who's basically homeless, who needs to put food on the table for his kids, might go into a supermarket and might steal a sandwich. I'm not condoning it. I'm not going to give that person a high five, but I understand.
Would you call that moral? Would you call that good?
Hold on. It's against the law.
Yeah.
Is it bad?
Wait, yeah, the law doesn't mean bad. But would you call it moral?
So wait, is Brian Shapiro saying that stealing is good then? Oh, as long as you're poor or something? Well, then, stealing is good. By the way, thank you very much, Haas Knuckles, for $5. Even if all the correct paperwork is filled out, asylum claims can be rejected if they are not legitimate. Yeah, exactly. It has to be legitimate. You can't just fill out and claim asylum and be like, oh, okay. Like, no, you actually need a reason why you're claiming asylum. And if we feel it's not legitimate, they could be denied. And there's nothing illegal or wrong about that. Thank you very much, Haas Knuckles, for the $5. Hell yeah, guys. That's the power of the Coolverse right there.
I think when you have no other option, and there are some people in this country that are in that position where they have no other option. They don't even have a food pantry, and they need to provide a meal for their kids, and they might steal $10 worth of food. Would I call that immoral? Not necessarily. No.
What?
So the ends justify the means.
I don't think it's immoral. You said
They do that.
okay. There are certain things that people do are bad.
So maybe
Right.
this is where the immigration discrepancy comes from, because as with the
But where does Brian Shapiro get his morality from? Oh, yeah, the Book of Brian. That's right. If Brian feels a certain way about something, that's all he goes by. It's just all his preferences. The Book of Brian's preferences.
ends justify the means, which I see to be immoral, I believe that we have a duty-based ethics. Things have to be done a certain way. It's not right for the poor man to steal just because he really, really needs to. He needs to do things the proper way. Same way.
So if Brian Shapiro, if I were to go to Brian Shapiro's house and steal all his food, if I was really starving, Brian Shapiro would be okay with that. You know, by the way, like people pointing out in the chat, yeah, that almost never happens. It's not stealing, as you see, for the most part, is not people stealing their food. If anything, we have too much food in this country. Even someone that's homeless, that's literally living on the streets, they usually are not out stealing food. Maybe like dumpster diving, if anything. But they're not going into the store and stealing food usually. It's like they usually get money because people give them handouts, you know, like, hey, spare some change. Or there's or yeah, they go to the dumpsters of restaurants or whatever. It's not usually people like going in there and stealing food.
Have you ever been in a situation like that?
Me personally, I mean, where I have to do something. I
I'm
mean,
sorry if I'm being personal here.
that would
but-
be irrelevant to my moral.
No,
code.
it's very relevant,
It
and
wouldn't
I'll
be at all.
explain why. And I'm sorry if I'm being personal.
Yeah, that's right, James. Yeah, he wouldn't high five me, but he would understand. I'd be like, hey, man, I was starving. And, oh, okay. Well, listen, I'm not going to high five you, but go run along, little scamp. I get it.
Personal. Do you come from a family of means? Do you have money?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so you come from a wealthy family.
Yeah.
So you have no idea what it's like to be starving.
No, but that's irrelevant to my.
No,
moral
it's
Brian doesn't
no,
either.
It's extremely
It's
relevant.
Brian doesn't either. I don't think Brian came from poverty. You know, listen, I don't think he grew up rich, but I don't think he grew up in poverty. So he didn't either. Like, what's the point here? Neither of you guys came from poverty. So what? What does that mean then? Okay, then basically two guys who didn't come from poverty, one saying it's wrong to steal, the other one saying, well, I don't condone it, but I understand. But what does that matter then? It's just basically you guys are both appealing to different types of morality then. Eric Goss, thank you very much for those 10 New Zealand Skrillas. Saw one of your vids yesterday and I was worried I missed the Bryshat video where he denounced the people in his group who flipped off the Charlie Memorial outside of TPUSA. Yeah. I wonder if he put out a video denouncing those people flipping off the memorial, right? He'll go and scold everybody for like, oh, well, you denounced that, right? Did you put out a video about it? You're saying it's wrong, right? But where's Brian coming out, putting out a video saying that it's wrong? Thank you very much, Eric Goss, for the 10. And thank you very much, Keith, for the 2. They need the Nikes because they're hungry. Yeah, exactly. It's not people going in there and stealing food. They're going and robbing jewelry stores as mass robberies, going in there and doing mass robberies at stores, and they're stealing TVs. They're stealing luxury goods. They're not stealing loaves of bread. But that's what the Democrats like to hide behind and pretend that's what's going on to justify why they have a soft stance on crime. But reality, that's not what's going on at all. Thank you very much, guys, for the supers.
Relevant.
No,
Hey, let me tell you
no.
why.
With respect, it's extremely
It's
relevant.
irrelevant.
When people,
Wants
this is
and shoulds, ought claims
No.
and want claims
You-
are opposite. They're not
you-
identical. They're
okay. With
separate.
respect, you don't know what it's like to not know where your next meal is
Neither do
coming
you,
from.
Brian.
What does not knowing where my next meal come from?
Yeah.
Because you
That's the thing. Yeah, because neither does Brian. So yeah, what does that have to do with it?
haven't been in. This is my whole argument here. You don't know what it's like to be in their shoes.
Okay,
and if
that doesn't mean what. Okay, this
Brian Shapiro about to bust into Everlast right here. The maybe you really might know what it's like to have the blues.
is like a philosophy disagreement. I don't believe that you can say that a moral statement is founded entirely based off of in their shoes. Moral statements are across the board for everyone because they're
Okay, but hold
moral.
on a second.
Ethical
You don't.
codes are codes.
You're saying it's immoral for somebody that is starving and their family is starving for a man of the household to steal food. Now, I admit it is illegal, but you are making a case for that. And the point that I'm trying to make to you is you've never been in that situation before. You don't have any life experience as far as struggling. You've self-admitted that you come from a family of means, and you will probably never know what it's like to be in that position.
Probably not, Brian.
It's called, but it's called empathy.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's called immorality.
That's why these libs suck. I hate it whenever they appeal to, it's called empathy. Empathy is fake and gay. All right. Brian, if you're so empathetic, do you know what it's like to be gay? Do you know what it's like to be a gay man? Have you ever walked in a gay man's shoes? Huh?
Funny. Brian, I have a question.
It's immorality.
Brian, have you ever murdered someone?
No, I've never, not to my knowledge.
Have you ever really, really wanted to murder someone?
No, maybe in
Held the knife in
debates.
your hand?
Maybe in debates.
Yeah, well, maybe Donald Trump, yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
understand
maybe in
what it's
debates.
like, Brian. It's like, no, morality.
So hold on,
is a
hold
Yeah,
on.
fact.
hold on.
exactly.
It has
Stop.
nothing to do
Stop,
with
stop,
your
stop.
desire.
You're comparing somebody ending somebody's life. You're with respect.
Oh my God.
No, but your analogies are
Brian.
insane.
Brian, no, it's not, Brian. This is how-
JTT starting to get that Brian Shapiro fatigue. He's starting to get that fatigue. No, stay strong, kid. Stay strong.
Insane.
Brian, have you ever had a philosophy? Like, you ever had a moral dilemma? Brian, if
Nope.
I offered you,
I'm having a moral dilemma
Brian,
right now.
Brian, if I offered you the trolley problem, would you say
Hold
you're
on.
comparing my choice to do this
No.
to hitting people with a train? It's like,
Listen. You're
because
comparing.
morality, it's a dilemma for the
It's-
purpose of
Okay,
exposing how psychological.
but I have more respect for people that have been in that dilemma. You've never experienced this.
Care.
I know you don't care, and I get the sense that you don't care about people that are struggling in this country.
Well, that's
because,
me, Brian.
well,
I do care.
I'm getting the sense that you don't.
I
Like,
do.
Oh God, this is where he's appealing to. This is where he's judging now, and he's like, oh, listen, I have empathy, and I think you don't. Thank you very much, D-Card Kane, for the $2. He's never been president, so he can't judge. Checkmate. Yeah, that's a great point there. Yes. Well, Brian, you've never been president, so how can you speak for Donald Trump? Where's your empathy at? Where is your empathy for Donald Trump and what he has to go through being the president of the United States, running this country, being the leader of the free world? Where's your empathy at for all that he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis, Brian? Thank you very much, D-Card Kane. Very much appreciated.
Let me tell
frankly,
you why I care, Brian. I care about you, and that's why I want your country to have just laws so
So,
it doesn't collapse
it's
into a
not
heap of
my
rubble.
country, it's our country.
Our
That's
country.
number
But
one.
I'm speaking to you, and then we'll see your country.
And number two, first of all, comparing murder to somebody that needs to steal a loaf of bread to put food on the table for their family
you
is
wanna go different-
insane.
we can do a different example.
Well, hold on.
The point is, you use hyperbole in ethical dilemmas in order to illustrate the fact that a point is
No,
absurd.
you did. You said it was bad.
No,
and
I'm
that's
saying
where this
you
started.
as an individual
No.
in search of ethical
But
truth.
you are defining what is bad. Okay, just because you break the law and you make a mistake, there are some circumstances where somebody might break the law. For example, if somebody is caught speeding because they're with someone in the car that is dying, I wouldn't necessarily call that bad.
Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
Obviously, morality and the law are separate. Like, obviously,
Okay.
in Nazi Germany, it wasn't.
Why
like,
do you think
immoral
it's
for people
bad?
To, like, snitch on, like, people
Why do
hiding-
you think
yeah,
it's
like,
immoral and bad for somebody who is struggling in this country, who has no money, who has
By the way, yeah, like he judges Donald Trump all the time then. Oh, okay. So when Donald Trump cheated on his wives, well, why was that bad, Brian? How come it wasn't just Donald Trump making a mistake? You know, what if things weren't great in his marriage, Brian? What about that? And so he was seeking companionship and love from somebody else. How come it wasn't just Donald Trump making this mistake and having a lapse in judgment? How come what Donald Trump did was terrible? Oh, but someone's stealing. Well, it's because they're poor.
children and needs to put food on the table, and they have no other option but to steal $20 worth of food. I admit it's illegal. I wish they wouldn't do it. But why is that so immoral and bad when you've never been in a situation like that before and you don't know
Okay,
what that situation
So,
is?
Brian, I'm what you call a deontologist. I believe that when we talk about ethics, we have a duty to do things a certain way. The outcome, while we should be striving for a better outcome, is irrelevant to the goodness of the action. Well, it has relevancy, but it's not the decider of the goodness of the action. So a good example is if you talk about like mass genocide or mass murder. Obviously, this is a hyperbolous example. I'm not trying to, trap you in a false portrayal of your ideas, but this is where I see problems with the ends justify the means. A lot of people, when they're debating people who believe in mass genocide, the argument comes down to, well, it wouldn't have fixed your problems. I don't choose to go there. I always say, well, regardless of what you are doing, if an action is wrong, even if it has the greatest of outcomes, it is still wrong. Which is why I can say that we have a duty to do things a certain way. The poor man, yes, it would be nice for him to have food. It would be good. And I think that actually, as an American, I have a duty to give him my money if I see him and he needs food.
Mhm.
However, duty to give is far different from privilege to take. Just because we have a duty to help someone. If I have a duty, so if you're homeless, and I feel that I have a Christian or atheist or whatever moral system we have, I feel that I have a moral duty to bring you to my house and let you sleep on my couch. However, that does not mean that you have the privilege to enter my house and sleep on my couch.
I would never say that somebody, because they're undocumented.
That's actually like his little weasel face. He's ready to like, a little weasel response. But yeah, I think he put it the best right there. JTT for the W right there. I think that was the best way to put it. Yeah, we have a duty to give, but it doesn't mean that you have the privilege to just take it. So I think that was really well said. I'm curious to see what Brian has to say in response. But first, let me see what Keith has to say for the $5. Brian asking about morals, but gets mad at Smokey Man for asking about morals. Dude only got famous because of Andrew. Fuck that guy. Yeah, indeed. 100% Keith. Thank you very much for the $5. Very much appreciated.
Documented or homeless, that you have to have them in your home. I would never make that statement.
I would say that you should help people, not in their home, but
this
I'm
is
saying like if there was the duty to
okay, but I know you're religious as well.
yes.
Okay, and Kai, you're okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree with me that when somebody has no money, they have a family, and they have no other option, okay, than to go into a supermarket or and steal $10, $15, while it is illegal, obviously, I wouldn't attack that person or call them bad or immoral.
Yeah. So I 100% get what you're saying. The problem is that.
Well, yeah, listen, I mean, allegedly Brian Shapiro ripped off a woman of money, thousands of dollars, to pay off allegedly to some loan sharks or what have you. Again, I don't know why he took this money, but I heard it was to pay off some loan sharks. So listen, just take that with a grain of salt. But allegedly that's what's going on. So of course Brian's here going to defend, well, listen, like as long as you have a good reason, then it's okay to steal. Yeah, if you steal because you're just being a piece of shit, then yeah, that's bad. But if you have a good reason to steal, then it's okay. Book of Brian, chapter 4, verse 3.
That's not the case that either of us have made this entire debate. The entire time we have been talking about whether or not the system that you believe in or the system that we believe in, deportation or just codifying or naturalizing everybody, whether that is moral or just, right? We have never said all of these illegal immigrants are, evil people and they're coming here for all the wrong reasons. Most of them are here because they think they could make more money here and they can send it to their families and improve their lives.
I appreciate the fact that you said that.
Yes,
I can
nonetheless.
say that also.
But,
Yeah.
okay, I appreciate
Nonetheless,
that.
even if they have the best of motives, that doesn't justify, doing a bunch of things that would be destructive to the morality of the country, just like, codifying all of them, naturalizing all of them, and then
Okay, so
showing a priority to evil.
I disagree with you when you say you think it's destructive for the morality of the country.
Well, that's what you two were talking
Yeah,
about, right?
because you agreed. Well, firstly, you agreed that codification is an immoral policy, correct?
Hey, Gizmo the Fisherman, thank you very much for the 20, brother. I'm home. Thanks for keeping me entertained while in. Well, glad to hear that you're home and that you're doing better. I've been thinking, I was like, oh, hopefully everything's going all right, but glad to see that you're home. Thank you very much for the 20, man. Gizmo.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. So then, I mean, if that's an immoral policy, wouldn't immoral policy implementation be bad because the purpose of policy, as you outlined earlier, is to be moral and just?
So I want our laws to be moral. Obviously, I want our leadership people to be moral. I want people to have character. I want people to have empathy. Of course, the whole 9 yards there.
And we agree on all that.
Yeah, but the problem I have, and again, I keep using the word consistency. And I believe that what is going on in this country right now, and this is a problem I think we both could agree. Way before you guys were born, I'm old. God, I'm old. I'm like, add both your ages. I'm still probably older than you guys. That's really sad. But I'm an old man. But
I wonder how old Brian is. Probably like what, 48, 47.
But the point I'm trying to make is for decades we've had this issue, right? I think we both could agree on that. We've had immigration issues for decades. George W. Bush did a woefully terrible job dealing with immigration. I'll be the first one to admit Joe Biden did not do a good job either. They failed from an immigration standpoint. I'm not going to sit here like some people on the left do and defend Joe Biden when it comes to immigration policy. No, they did not do a good job, period. I don't think Trump's doing a good job either. Sure, they've deported a lot of people, But what good is it, in my opinion, when they're going about it the wrong way? I thought Obama did a pretty damn good job considering the circumstances.
Can we focus on the descriptor of if we should do it before we talk about how we should do it? Because I believe that I have a solution for that problem as well.
Yeah, like I said, I don't necessarily believe in mass deportation. We obviously
Okay.
we fundamentally disagree on that.
But let's hammer it on that, because it's not, opinions don't come out of the ether and they live in your heart. They're in our brain. So let's talk about why. You agree with me that codification is immoral. That's the only option other than mass deportation, which isn't doing nothing, which you also agreed is immoral. So in that scenario, why?
I don't
Or
think we
better
should
yet,
do nothing.
Under what circumstance should we implement a policy
Mhm.
which is immoral? Can you name any circumstance?
When have I said we should implement a policy that's immoral?
You said you don't believe in doing nothing. You believe in codification.
Yeah, I think we should help people. Why would I say we should do nothing?
Because you believe the codification is immoral, as we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
Under what circumstance, in any legal precedent, should we do something that is legally, should we implement a law that we agree is immoral?
I think, first of all, when we talk about law in general, it doesn't mean I agree with every judge. Doesn't mean I agree with every law. Do I want people to abide by the laws in general terms? Yeah, of course I do. But I also think there are exceptions to the rule. And I also think that there are people, regardless of whether they are breaking the law or not, we have to go to motive. We have to go to why they're doing this. We have to go to how they got here.
So speaking of should, why should? Because this is a legal measure in this scenario. It's not doing nothing. It's amending the law. Yeah, you're making a positive claim in this scenario. I'm not making a positive claim. So in this scenario, I'm trying to argue against codification. So if we're talking about codification, in what scenario?
Why are you against it? Tell me.
I'm against it because I think it's immoral. As I said before,
Tell me why.
I think it rewards injustice and hurts people who are just. There's a lot more reasons that we haven't even gotten into yet. In addition, I believe that all of the
How is it
benefits-
unjust? Tell me.
It's unjust because people in Mexico who wanted to come here legally, and then people in America who wanted to, or people in Mexico who came here illegally, the person who came here illegally gets the reward, and the person who came here legally or tried to come here legally gets the negative side of that coin.
Well, obviously,
That's the definition of justice. Things in the right place, or things in the right place.
Again, and that goes to my opinions on why things need to change a little bit. And if you, I understand the argument that if you come to this country the legal way and you had to wait 10 or 15 years, there's probably a lot of people that would say, well, wait a second, why did I have to wait 10 or 15 years? And why you?
Yeah, I noticed that too, DeFall. And yeah, he doesn't stand for shit. He can't answer these kinds of questions. Yeah, he can't. That's why he turned it back around on JTT over there by saying, well, why are you against it? Because he actually doesn't know why he's for it other than probably feelings.
Rewarding people that have come to this country illegally. I understand that argument, but it goes to another argument. You know, I remember when Joe Biden wanted to do student debt forgiveness, and I heard a lot of people complaining about it that had gone to college, that had, you know, paid off their student debt or are continuing to pay it off. And they said, well, why should I have to suffer when they don't have to suffer? In my personal opinion,
I believe
things changed for the better of the people.
Wait, I have a question. Do you think that policy was moral or immoral?
I think it was absolutely moral. Absolutely
Only
moral.
10% of people get their loans forgiven.
Okay. I think it's moral, and I think here's why. Okay. First of all, I'll give another example. How about during COVID, during the PPE loans? You had a bunch of Republicans and Democrats that got all these loans from private business. Guess what? They didn't have to pay those loans back. But that was totally okay for them to not have to pay off their loans to the government.
Well, yeah, that's because the freaking shutdowns, because you guys, I should say the government locked us all down. And so, yeah, that's also why we got the stimulus checks and stuff. That was a totally different situation. In this situation, these kids are going to get these college degrees that are, for the most part, useless. Oh, yeah, I got a BS in fantasy literature. Oh, yeah, I got a BS in African studies or something. It's all useless, and they take out all these high loans. It's a scam pretty much, and then it's like the interest is super high, and that's why they can't pay it back. They're getting useless degrees that's not going to give them anything in return, and then they have these high interest loans that they have to pay back. That's different. They're doing it by choice, by the way. They're doing it not because of anything that's done to them, because they've been shut down by the government or anything like that. These are kids that are taking it out on their own without fully knowing what they're taking out. They're kind of being taken advantage of if you think about it. But even with that said, they are adults, and they shouldn't just be going to college in these useless bullshit degrees.
But these are some of the same people, and I've talked to some of these people that argue about student loan debt forgiveness. So why is it that it was okay for you, who owns a private business during COVID, to not have to pay back your loans to the government? But if you're somebody going to school, somebody in their 20s that's struggling to get a job, no.
Yeah, and by the way, too, I'm not even for those loans that he's talking about, the COVID loans. I'm not even pro those loans either. Yeah, I don't think those they should have been given loans that they don't have to pay back. But again, those are two different situations. And by the way, even if he was absolutely correct, like, what does one have to do with the other? Why can't he answer about the student loans just on their own? He always has to do the whataboutisms.
Oh, you should have to suffer. It is hypocrisy. Again, I think most people on the right are hypocrites.
How is it that we are able to, whenever I'm evaluating policy,
Do you agree with what I just said, or
that would be hypocritical? I think in some ways that'd be hypocritical, yeah.
some
But if
ways?
we're evaluating, PPE loans are a little bit different because obviously you're trying to stimulate the economy, while student loan forgiveness has a different incentive.
If
But
you
I
go
would
to
argue-
college,
I
if you
would
go,
argue that regardless of incentives,
if
probably
you go to
deontologically, they are
college,
equally
if you go to college to get your degree, you would think that would stimulate the economy as well, because you're going to probably get a job and you're going to be paying taxes. So you can make the absolutely same argument.
Would be helping people who didn't see the
Why is it immoral to help people that are
So let me
struggling?
explain
I
to
don't
you why.
understand.
So I believe
Well, it's see, the thing is, you're taking people's money because that's going to come out from the taxpayer dollar. Okay, that's immoral. So again, you're taking people's money, all right, to pay back student loans for choices that these people didn't make. So yes, that is immoral. You're taking people's money by force. If people wanted to willingly donate to somebody to pay back their college loan, that's a different story. But what you're suggesting is forcefully taking it from people to pay for these people's bad choices. Okay. By the way, thank you very much, Eric Goss, for the New Zealand $5 in NZ. My kid got a student loan, no interest if she stays in the country. All right. Well, there you go. There you go, New Zealand. Thank you very much, Eric Goss. And also thank you very much, Keith, for another $5. Students loan forgiveness. What about small business loan forgiveness? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like, if you're going to take out a loan to start a business, that's actually more beneficial for the economy than it is for these college students that are getting these useless degrees and useless things. Thank you very much, Keith, for the $5. Very much appreciated. You guys are rocking it today. We only have 4 more left to go to complete that super chat goal.
whenever you're evaluating policy, you're making a big mistake pretty readily where you evaluate policy comparatively. You say, well, this thing happened, so it should be like this. I don't think that way. I have what's called first principles. So I believe that some things are good, some things are bad, and there's a lot of reasons that we can probably both find for that reason. So, and I'm talking about student loan forgiveness. I don't think student loan forgiveness is bad because we shouldn't be forgiving student loans. In fact, actually, I think there's good arguments for broad student loan forgiveness. However, if only 10% of the society had their loans forgiven, and if it's not arbitrary, then I actually retract the statement.
Why?
From what I understand, it was arbitrary.
Do you know why only 10%?
Why?
Take a guess.
I don't know.
Republicans fought it. They fought it to high end. What Joe Biden was trying to do was try to make it universal. He spoke about this in his speeches. He talked about student.
But even then, they shouldn't have implemented to 10%. Even if they
it was either 10% or nothing.
If they could get all loans forgiven, say that we agree that there won't be economic downsides to student loan forgiveness. That's a pretty complicated issue. But if we talk about, so say that we agree on that, even then, I think that it's always wrong to help some people and not other people for arbitrary standards.
So in a perfect world, I wish that it was 100%.
Policy is designed to create the best world.
Okay.
So if it's better that way, then we should do it that way.
Not with certain politicians.
If codification, that doesn't matter because they're not here. I'm right here. So we're arguing about mass
but you're
deportation.
making.
If codification is immoral,
but what good is
mass
it if
deportation
politicians
is
aren't doing
just.
that? What good is it?
What good is it? So people right here, like me and you, can make the points and change their mind. So let's ask the question.
We're not going to be able to do that, but okay.
If codification is immoral and deportation, which I think we can agree is just, if it could be done,
I don't know if it's necessarily immoral. I think it depends on a case-by-case basis, as I've told you.
Is it in any case immoral?
Depends on the case. You'd have to talk to me about it. I think every
if it's
single
done to everyone, and there's one case where it's immoral, then it's immoral. Inherently, we're talking about blanket codification. So if you're arguing for a codification like exclusion metric where some people
you think welfare is immoral?
What does that have to do with anything?
Because you're making the case if one person does it, then it's immoral. Here's why I'm bringing that up. Food stamps, welfare, government programs in general. There's always going to be a small percentage of people that are going to take advantage of the system. So just because a small percentage of people, when it comes to this specific situation, are taking advantage of it, that means just wipe everything out. I disagree with that.
Hold on.
Wait, no, the difference is that I don't believe that anyone ought to be codified. I think when you hear the morality of it, every single person is taking advantage of the system because every single person subverted the law by hopping the border, and the people who we agree should be here as valid refugees in this scenario would not be deported under my ideal deportation scenario. And we're arguing in pure hypotheticals here, so you have to entertain that.
Well, everything's hypothetical, of course.
Yeah, of course. What's the policy?
Again, my opinion is I think it should be a case-by-case basis. I've been pretty clear on that.
So do you agree now, after this conversation, that in the case of the single man who came here and has no kids and is not a violent criminal, he should be deported?
Explain to me again how long he's been here.
How long he's been here?
Yeah.
Why does it matter? It's so stupid. This, like, I've heard it from other people other than Brian, that to this whole thing, like, well, if they've been here for like 10 years. Okay, well, then that logic, then, okay, if I go rob a bank and if I'm just able to skirt the law for like, 10 years or so, then I should just be able to keep the money and not be punished for it. Like, what kind of logic is that? Why does it matter how long they've been here for? Thank you very much, Eric Goss, for the New Zealand 5. Also, how much did that university pay Hillary Clinton to take 1 or 2 classes on political science or whatever? Yeah, exactly. Just wasting their money, throwing all this money at these people to give talks or to take the classes or whatnot. It's just ridiculous. But thank you very much, Eric Goss, for the New Zealand 5. But yeah, that's just not how it works. It's not like, okay, commit a crime. As long as you could go for however long without being noticed, then it's fine. That's not how it works. You know, that's something. When is it going to be responsibility of these people coming over here? You know, like, they know coming over here that they're taking a risk and that they're going to be having to thwart the law for possibly the rest of their life here in the United States. That's the risk that they're taking. So when is it on them to weigh these risks and know, like, okay, fair enough. Like, yes, I'm getting deported, but I knew this day might come.
Not seeking asylum. Is that correct?
At what point for you would that make it moral?
He's well, because you'd have a history. You'd have to be able to ask him, what have you done? How long have you been here? You're saying he doesn't have a family. You're saying he doesn't have kids.
Let's say he's been here for 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. It's good to report.
He's been here for 1 day. He came here illegally.
Yes.
He doesn't have a family here. I'll answer your question this way.
I'll answer your question this way. How about when Donald Trump said this or put this into law, huh? How do you think about that? See, but anyway, he's not answering the question now. He's not going to answer the question because he knows he's full of shit when he says, well, listen, if they've been here for a long time or if they haven't done anything wrong, yeah, listen, if like, he's basically lying, and so he can't answer it. Yeah, of course he wants the guy to stay even if he's been here for a day. Of course he wants him to stay because he's full of shit. So let's see how he's going to pivot away from answering this question. And let's see if he turns this to moral grandstanding, which is usually what he does in this type of scenario.
I'll be much more.
I don't know if we can make it easier.
These are yes or no questions.
Yeah.
I would be much more comfortable with deporting that individual than somebody that would be here with a family that has a history that's been here for a while.
Can I rephrase it? Do you believe, yes or no question? It's pretty simple. That if that guy was here for literally 1 day, we should deport him.
It's a difficult question for me to answer.
How is that difficult?
Yeah.
The reason why it's a difficult question for me to answer, because in general terms, I don't think these are bad people for America. I think it's good for America.
Okay, but the policy,
I don't know why that's funny.
So then he doesn't want any of these people deported. He thinks everyone that comes here from Mexico are good people. He just thinks that. He goes, I think these people are beneficial to America. Yeah, well, why, Brian? Why are they beneficial? To be our cheap labor? It's just to be our cheap labor. That's it, you know? It's just that he has this lefty ideology where it's basically all brown people good, white people bad. Therefore, we should just let all the brown people come over here.
First off, we can get into this later. But the policy you're making,
hold on.
Why it's funny because
I don't know why that's funny. Yeah, it's absurd. You're just an absurd person, Brian. That's why I don't think you're a real person. You're an absurd person. He's like, well, what's so funny about that? But that's why people who debate him like laugh at him during the debate. He's like, well, I know you're laughing, but it's because you're ridiculous, Brian. You're absolutely, utterly ridiculous.
If El Chapo came here, he would produce such economic
You're comparing
stimulus.
El Chapo to somebody that has
No.
criminal history?
I'm not doing any comparison. What I'm doing is demonstrating the principle that economic growth is a sufficient justification for a person's illegal entry to the country.
Yeah, but
If
we're not
El
talking
Chapo
about
was
El
here-
Chapo. We're not talking about a convicted
Yeah,
criminal.
even if we're talking about just the guy who came over,
we're not talking.
if the guy's over, this is a moral absurdity.
I disagree. I think what you're doing is a moral absurdity.
It's not a moral absurdity.
I think what you guys are doing is
actually,
a moral
here I'm
absurdity.
interested. Let's after I explain this point, I will allow you to express why my position.
Oh wait, hold on a second. Let's rewind a second. You're comparing Yeah,
I
I almost said the F word. I'm trying to show you respect because I almost said the F word, but I'm showing you respect, okay? Okay, because you're
What was he gonna call him an F slur? Was he gonna call him the F slur? I almost said the F word. I mean, or was he gonna? Let me go back a little bit.
what you guys are doing. Is
Actually,
moral
here I'm
absurdity.
interested. Let's after I explain this point, I will allow you to express why my position.
Oh wait,
is
hold on a second. Let's rewind a second. You're comparing. Yeah, I almost said the F word. I'm trying to.
Was he gonna say fuck or was he gonna say the F slur? You know, because he's like, I'm trying to show you respect, but why would that be disrespectful to say the? Oh yeah, actually, I remember. No, it makes sense because Kai Schwemmer, he's against cursing, so that's why Brian's trying to show him respect by not cursing in return. All right, fair enough.
I'm trying to show you respect because I almost said the F word, but I'm showing you respect, okay? Okay, because you're being respectful, and I appreciate that as well. You're comparing El Chapo to
No.
somebody who has no criminal history
No.
who comes into this country?
No, and
Okay,
the
please
fact
don't do that.
and the fact that you think I've done that shows that.
Well, why would you bring up El Chapo then?
Well, if you would have allowed me,
He's trying to explain it. Yeah, like he explained it pretty clearly. He's trying to demonstrate that just because something has an economic benefit, it's beneficial economically, does not make it a good thing. It does not make it a moral good. That's what he's trying to demonstrate to you, Brian. But again, Brian, low tier simpleton Brian just doesn't understand.
I would have very.
Okay, go ahead.
I would have.
Go ahead. I'm
demonstrated.
listening.
And I'm sorry, man. I know
It's
we're
okay.
way off. Right after this, I'm going to stick you to what he just said, which is I want you to define what is morally absurd about our position.
Yeah.
But the El Chapo example, you have used multiple times during this debate the amount of economic stimulus an individual adds to the United States as a reason for keeping them here despite their illegal entry. You just did that in the hypothetical case of this, familyless individual who's been here for one day.
He hasn't even helped yet.
Yeah, he has not helped. Yeah, he hasn't done a thing, but you qualified, in order to say, well, we shouldn't deport him. The first question you asked was, well, what has he produced for the United States? My argument is there are people who could come to this country and produce so much economic stimulus, but it would still be wrong to have them in the country because fundamentally, like we've said so many times before, you would be rewarding the unjust and you would be punishing, or, the poor side of the equation would be suffered by the just, people who have gone and followed the laws, people who have done things properly. So that argument, and it's totally arbitrary. You could say any number of things. You could say, well, how much love has this individual produced in the United States? Love is a good thing. Well, we shouldn't deport them because of love. You're just choosing to focus on economic stimulus. But we've also already defeated
That's just one aspect.
Exactly.
One
it is one
of
aspect.
many aspects of why I don't have a problem with a lot of these people being here. That's one aspect.
Here's the thing. You cannot agree with, or you have not yet agreed with deporting anybody. And in every,
that's not true.
Well, he agreed with violent offenders.
One of the
violent offenders.
One of the first thing I said.
Well, hold on. What if the violent offender, the violent undocumented immigrant, murdered somebody, and they were
was good for the economy?
No.
Is that what you're gonna say?
They were convicted of murder, but they did so in a way that we could find morally justifiable. So let's say they went out of their way and they killed somebody who they thought was posing a threat to their family.
If you're convicted,
should they still be deported?
You just said they were a convicted murderer. If it was justifiable, then they wouldn't have been convicted.
No. I said morally justifiable. Things could be illegal, but morally justifiable.
So they're a convicted
like
felon.
stealing, right?
So they're a convicted felon.
No, they're a convicted murderer.
Okay,
but we
that's
could
a
look
felony.
yeah. Okay, yeah, convicted felon, perfect.
Okay, I'll be very
sorry.
clear.
I was thinking theft. I got confused.
I'll be very clear.
Yeah.
I'll repeat it.
Yes.
If you are a convicted felon,
yes,
I believe you should be deported, no matter what that crime is. I'm being very clear.
Perfect.
Very clear on that.
Yes. The problem is all of that's arbitrary. So can you agree that you do not believe in the deportation of anybody who is not a felon? Can you just agree to that? Because that's what you've been proving time and time again. Every single hypothetical we've given you,
so
time and time again, you have been proving that you don't believe in deporting anybody who is not a felon.
Here's why I feel that way. Because
can you just say yes or no on that, please? I don't want to stick you to a yes or no, but please just answer the question.
Okay.
I want to stick him to a yes or no.
Right now.
Yeah, I want to stick with the yes or no too, but because he does believe he doesn't want anyone deported that's not a violent criminal. He doesn't want anybody. Okay, so but he doesn't want to say that out loud because he knows that people are it's not gonna make him look good. So he's gonna say yes without directly saying yes.
Now, in the climate that we are in right now, I would say no. However, there's a caveat to that.
Okay.
If there was an easier pathway to citizenship, And there was a way that if they are deported,
Mhm.
okay, if they are deported, let's
Mhm.
just say every single undocumented immigrant today
Mhm.
is deported. I would be somewhat okay with it if we had laws put in place and a process that expedited them becoming naturalized citizens so they wouldn't have to wait 10 or 15 years to be reunited with their families. That's a very logical approach that I'm giving you. And I've tried to become very consistent on this approach.
Yeah,
If you want all these
you've been
people
anything
deported,
but consistent.
if they, I completely disagree with you. I can't even bring up Donald Trump in this conversation because he's not in the room, but you just, see, but you just brought up El Chapo, but I can't bring up Donald Trump.
What
Your
does that have to
entire
do with
party,
consistency?
first of all,
He's seething. He's seething over the fact, look, the look you get when you haven't brought up Donald Trump in 5 minutes. This is the perfect screenshot where he just need to make him a little bit more red. It's like the look you have when you haven't been able to mention Donald Trump. But yeah, look, he's seething about that. He's like, I'm not allowed to bring up Donald Trump, but you can bring up El Chapo? How dare you? Like, he's so pissed over that. He's rattled.
I can't even bring up Trump. He's the president of the United States. You're bringing up El Chapo.
No. What we're saying,
What is immoral about what I just said?
Brian, I'll tell you why we're saying you shouldn't bring up Trump. It's because you are asking us to answer for something we don't agree with. You could say, well, the shooter.
Then why are you a Republican?
Because I don't. Okay, hold on.
Why
First
are
of
you
all,
a Republican?
My best identifier
I'm curious.
is that I'm a child of God. Second of all, I stand more to be a conservative. But what I align myself with are values rather than people. I'm not a Republican because of John Republic, who founded republicanism or whatever.
Values. Let's talk about values.
Hold on.
I would love to do that.
So, yeah,
No,
yeah.
and I wasn't going to bring up Trump.
I let it go too far.
I wasn't going to bring up Trump.
But
I want to talk.
I do not believe for a second, Brian, that you were not going to bring up Trump.
Values of the Republican Party way before.
you bring up Trump.
If we can, because we talked about immigration for like 90 minutes.
We got
here.
20, 30 minutes.
Okay, and I know you wanted to we wanted to talk about porn a little bit, okay? But you said
I
that's
want
fair
to
game, right?
clarify.
Okay, let's talk about Republican values, okay?
I'm sorry.
Without me even bringing up Donald Trump. Why is it that Republicans consistently vote
Can you define republicanism before we engage in the conversation?
conservative values? As I
Word
hear.
games.
Okay.
What would-
Christianity, which I assume you are.
does somebody have to be a Christian to be a conservative?
No, but you're a Christian, right?
I am.
Okay, thank you. What do you think about being gay?
Perfect. This is a question directed at
What do you think about being gay, huh? What do you think about being gay? Yeah, but by the way, you don't have to be a Christian to be a Republican. I don't even think you have to be like a conservative to be a Republican.
me.
Yeah.
Republican is just a political party. It just means that, oh yeah, I align with them politically, like with the laws they want to, or the policies they want to bring forth.
The way you do this discussion. We've gotten so far from immigration. I just want to acknowledge that for everybody.
We've done this for 90 minutes.
But I think every single individual who has same-sex attraction is a child of God, and I believe that they should not act on those sexual impulses.
Okay, you believe that. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. But how do you feel about the Republican Party? 99.
I think they are way too accepting of homosexuality in the Republican Party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Brian's like, wait a minute, what? I think they hate gays. What are you talking about? You're so full of crap, Ty.
So you think that? So what would be not accepting? What do you think they should do about that?
I think that we should not have legalized gay marriage. I don't think that should
Okay.
have been a party.
So you're
platform
okay
of
with
the Republican Party.
You're okay. What does Jesus say about judging people? I'm just curious. What did he
He
say?
says that we should judge with righteous judgment. In the book
Okay,
of
and you
Matthew.
think that's righteous to judge other people that are not like you?
No,
you
hold
think
on,
that's
hold on.
righteous?
Well, I haven't judged people.
Yes, you are.
No.
You're saying they shouldn't marry each other. Why?
I've made
What
it.
is your
Hold
business?
on.
Well, being gay is like an action, okay? It's an action. It's something that you do. It's not like that's why he says, well, I'm not judging like them as people. It's like you're judging the action that they partake in.
No. I've made a judgment of an action. You're right. I've judged whether or
That's
not
a
they
judgment.
should do something.
Yeah.
It's not a judgment of a person's heart. I didn't judge
Are they
Trump.
sinners?
Well, we're all sinners. Absolutely.
So being gay is a sin.
Hold on.
Why can't you answer that?
We're all
You always-
sinners. I don't know. I did answer your question. I said that.
So it's a sin.
Well, let me be clear.
Mhm.
Same-sex attraction in and of itself is not sinful. My attraction to a woman is not sinful. It is the way that I act on those impulses, which is what I said. I said, I do not believe that same-sex attracted people should act on those impulses. That's all I said. That is not a character
What would be
judgment.
an
That is not
impulse?
a
Sex?
judgment of an individual's
What's
heart.
an impulse? Sex, having
Sexual attraction, yeah.
Okay, but
certainly.
what about a man having sex with a woman? What's the
I've been
difference?
sexually attracted to plenty of women, and it would have
Yeah.
been totally wrong for me to have engaged in sexual intercourse with them.
Okay.
There's
and you're
obviously
entitled to your beliefs on that and your
100%, yeah.
behavior. And I would
Perfect,
never
yes.
tell you what you should or shouldn't
But-
do
but
when
you-
it comes to sexual attraction.
But it's funny because Brian is all about against judging people and stuff, but he's constantly judging us when we say things like, yeah, I don't believe in gay marriage and such. And, I don't think gay people should engage in those impulses that they have. Like he constantly judges us. He constantly judges Donald Trump. He loves judging Donald Trump. So he's constantly judging everybody. But yet when we say what we feel about these things, and it's like, well, didn't Jesus tell you not to judge, huh?
But you would certainly make a judgment as to whether or not what I am doing is good or bad based on your moral framework. Certainly.
When it comes to being attracted to somebody, no, it's not my business. Why do you care who people are attracted to?
because
Why do you care? Why do you give a crap?
Well, Brian, why do you care that Donald Trump had cheated on his wives? Why do you care about that? Why do you care that who Donald Trump had sex with? Like, why do you care so much? Why do you care about that stuff, Brian? Why do you judge him?
Well, I just want to be clear. I completely reject the framework that you can divorce culture, civilization, and a nation from the actions of every individual in the privacy of,
So
their,
being
own,
gay is a
of
choice?
their own homes.
You think it's a choice?
Acting on same-sex impulses? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so
that is.
Rich-
I mean, well, action is a choice.
So
absolutely.
So Richard Simmons was born straight. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not.
He keeps bringing, dude. Hey, Brian, there are other people than Richard Simmons that are gay or were gay. There are a lot of other gay examples. What's funny about him bringing up Richard Simmons is that Richard Simmons wasn't an openly gay man. Okay, like again, we've all like had the theories. We all like made fun of him, like, oh yeah, he's obviously gay, but he never once came out and said, yes, everybody, I'm a gay man. I'm gay. This is my partner. Like he never did that at all. So by Brian's logic, he is actually prejudging Richard Simmons and assuming he's gay, which Brian, according to the book of Brian, that's a sin to do. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't judge people by how they act or how they dress or what have you, and assume things about them because of how they act or how they dress. But that's what he's doing to Richard Simmons, because Richard Simmons was never an openly gay man. Like if you're going to go with this gay example, at least choose an openly gay man. Otherwise, you look like an idiot. And by the way, from what I heard, Richard Simmons was a religious man. So even if he was gay, he never, at least publicly, acted on it. He never publicly acted on it. He never publicly promoted it, because he's actually doing what Kai Schwemmer is saying what you should do if you are a gay man.
Do you think a man just wakes up, or a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old just wakes?
Hold on.
No,
Hold
this
on.
is important.
Brian, can you repeat to me what I said 5 seconds ago?
You said being gay, you believe it's a sin, right? Repeat what you said.
I didn't actually say
Okay.
that.
Okay, I thought that's what you said, because
Well,
it sounded
you-
like
you
you
keep-
said you were against gay marriage,
Correct.
right? And you think that
And then you
conservatives
asked me,
are
so
too
you-
accepting
Yes.
of gay people, which I find.
No. I think they are too accepting of homosexuality in the conservative movement, and I specified specifically that is borne out in the fact that we have adopted legalized gay marriage as a party platform. I don't.
Why are
think-
you
I don't
against
think
gay
that-
marriage?
Okay, I'd like you again. I'm going to stick you to it, and then I do want to get to what's absurd about our moral position, because
Okay.
you're not going to make me forget about that. What did I say when you asked me? So you think gay people are sinners?
I think you were judging their behavior.
No. What did I say?
Repeat
I
it.
said we're all sinners.
Yeah.
And then you asked me, you think being gay is a sin? What did I say?
Did you say no?
Correct.
You don't believe it's a sin.
Yeah, I said that sexual attraction in and of itself is not a sin.
But acting on it is.
Exactly.
So why is it when a man acts on and has sex with a woman, that's morally okay with you?
Well, it's actually not always morally okay.
It's
Yeah.
not.
No, certainly not.
Okay.
Like I
Why?
talked about
Why?
with Trump.
Why?
Because extramarital and premarital sex is also immoral
What
within
about
my
sex
moral
in
framework.
general?
Sex in general is not immoral. Of course
Okay.
not.
So why would it be immoral for?
Because there are
Brian looks like he's actually genuinely confused here.
On it is.
exactly.
So why is it when a man acts on and has sex with a woman, that's morally okay with you?
Well, it's actually not always morally okay.
It's not.
No, certainly not.
Okay.
Like I
Why?
talked about
Why?
with Trump.
Why?
Because extramarital and premarital sex is also immoral
What
within
about
my
sex
moral
in
framework.
general?
Sex in general.
Look at him, Brian. Like he looks really like he's actually, doesn't he look like a debate right now? Now he's actually like asking, like, well, why is that immoral? Like, well, why? Like he's genuinely like doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand this concept.
Is not immoral. Of course
Okay.
not.
So why would it be immoral for?
Because there are contexts within which certain actions are inappropriate and appropriate. It is
Mhm.
appropriate for me to have sex with my wife if I had one. It is not appropriate for me to have sex with another woman while
Okay.
I'm married with my wife, despite the fact that the
I
attraction
think
is the
most
same.
people would morally agree with that, but why?
Perfect.
But why do you believe in the separation between church and state then?
To an extent, but I think it's been misunderstood. That's a whole different issue. I'd like to stick you to the point of the moral absurdity.
But hold on.
What is morally absurd about the position that we?
Brian's like, well, hold on. No, I actually really don't understand all this stuff. This is the first time that I'm hearing about it. See, look, for the first time, it looks like the smooth brain of Brian is actually adding a little wrinkle to it. Adding a little wrinkle that actually has nothing to do with a Donald Trump factoid or anything like that. Look at him. It looks like he's like learning in real time. He's like, well, wait a minute. But no. Can we actually talk about this? I feel like I'm actually learning something for the first time in a long time that has nothing to do with something bad that Donald Trump has done.
Okay, but hold on.
What about it is morally absurd?
Okay, I want to answer that, but
I'm not sure you do.
I want to go to one more. Okay, we can talk about that.
Okay, wait. So I guess
I know. Let me answer his question. I'll answer his question, and you're not going to like my answer.
Okay.
You both have been very respectful to me, which I appreciate.
And likewise.
Okay,
Likewise. I know we get heated, but
and I think you guys. I've talked to you off the air, and let me be very clear. I don't put you in the same category as some people on the far right that I have debated.
Like Jack Posobiec, who I debated on Piers Morgan plenty of times, like Andrew Wilson, that scumbag, or Jay Dyer, Jay Dyer, by the way, friends with Alex Jones, or Warren Smith, who's a huge racist, who's friends with Steven Crowder, who I just think is a horrible human being.
You guys are young, but I appreciate the fact that you're both engaged in politics. I think that's great.
Thank you.
However, you both are privileged.
Certainly.
You both were born into money.
We were all born.
No.
No, we were all
Hold on
born.
a
That
second.
is a privilege.
Hold on a second. We were born in the United States of America. I agree.
No, we were
love
born
to-
at all.
Yes.
I'd
That
love
is
to
true.
unpack this.
But
in a
being
second.
born in the United States of America and looking the way we look, we're very lucky. Okay.
Gosh, man, this dude, Brian's brain is rotted with this leftist ideology.
Don't think, and I think this is where
Complete
both of you
NPC.
struggle. You don't see life through the lens of other people that haven't had the opportunities that both of you had or have had. And I find that extremely problematic.
You know how many judgments you've made of our lives?
Okay.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I asked
Hold on,
him.
hold on.
Yeah.
I asked
You
him.
asked him,
I didn't
but-
ask you. I didn't
Well,
ask
but
you.
you're talking to me
Okay.
too.
So
You've made a lot of
so
judgments
I
about
don't
my
know
life.
your background,
But
and
why-
I apologize for saying that.
But you've
because
judged it.
I made it.
Yeah, exactly. He's judged it. He's assuming. Now, listen, they did admit they come from a privileged background, but the only reason Brian assumed that in the first place because they're both white guys, right? They're well dressed, well spoken. So Brian is automatically. By the way, I thought that was a sin in the book of Brian. You shouldn't prejudge people. You shouldn't judge people by how they look or how they dress, how they act. You shouldn't judge it. But now Brian here immediately making judgments, saying, "Oh, you guys are privileged. You guys are privileged and you guys had it good here in this country," when he doesn't even know that for sure. He doesn't know anything about their lives. He doesn't know jack about anything about their lives. Thank you very much, Angela, for the $5. Is it just me or does Brian wax his eyebrows? Yeah, I think he does. Everyone's kind of had that theory that he waxes his eyebrows, and yeah, him and Sarah probably do each other's eyebrows. But thank you very much, Angela, for the $5. Only got 2 more super chats to go, people. Let's do this.
Mistake there. I misworded. I asked him. I did not ask you.
Oh, so
you're right about that.
just he is privileged.
Well, I'm just giving my general sense of this conversation.
I
right?
think all I'm trying to point
yeah.
out is that you're making lots
Generalizing.
of assumptions.
Yeah, generalizing, Brian. I thought that was wrong. You lectured Warren Smith for like an hour saying that judging people, generalizing groups of people and generalizing people was wrong, Brian. Tisk, 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 tisk. I need you to go over there, give me 10 Donald Trump is a 34 count felon, and you'll be absolved of your sins. Thank you very much, Salty Caveman, for the 15. I was waiting for your review on this one. Thanks, man. Yeah, no problem. I covered the first half yesterday. I'll be clipping that soon. It should be out today or tomorrow on the channel. Thank you very much, Salty Caveman, for your support. Let's go. We just need one left.
It's
And
not
it's,
an assumption.
it's ironic
It's-
given the fact that what you are actually condemning us for is the fact that we assume and speak from a position of not knowing other people's difficulties. And then you
So-
proceeded to do exactly the same thing with us.
So
I'd like to
yes.
say one thing.
okay, but I was going to finish. Go ahead.
Okay, so talking about the idea that the position you're in can change the morality of your action, I fundamentally reject this. I have a question. Do you believe that there are certain actions that are always bad regardless of circumstance?
Absolutely.
Okay, so a good example is
Absolutely.
if you talk about let's talk about it. Well, this is a moral hypothetical people use quite a lot. So say there is a judge, and a judge knows that a man committed some kind of crime, but the evidence was annulled, so he couldn't use the evidence for that crime. So he knows this guy's like a murderer, maybe, and he couldn't get him on that crime. So then he decides, okay, I'm going to try him for like treason or a crime he didn't commit, and then convict him for that. Would that to you be a moral action?
Do me a favor and repeat that one more time.
So can you basically, if there's a judge who, I'm a judge, I know this guy committed a crime,
right,
but the evidence is thrown out because
I believe
it
in
was
our
obtained
justice
illegally.
system.
Yes.
Doesn't always get it right, but I believe
So it
in
was
our justice
obtained
system.
illegally. Do you believe that it would be moral for that judge in this
Well,
scenario?
if evidence was obtained illegally, then that person would not be convicted, and there would be a hung jury, or not hung jury. I'm sorry, there would be it wouldn't go through the
Well,
courts.
saying, this is a moral hypothetical. So say this is a trial by judge country.
Yeah.
Would it be moral for the judge then to falsely convict the guy for like another crime that he committed with similar punishment in order to get the outcome that is more moral or just in your system?
That's a really weird hypothetical. So first of all, if
well, that's what they pretty much try to do with Trump. That's pretty much what they tried to do with Trump. I'm surprised Brian wouldn't be like, yes, absolutely, I'm all for it. I am all for doing that. How do you think we got Trump to be a 34 count felon if we didn't do that? That's exactly what they did to Trump.
There's,
I mean, Trump is not guilty of something more serious, like he murdered somebody, but they did do a complete witch hunt and trumping up charges just to get him on something.
Evidence that's inadmissible. It would be inadmissible.
Can you subvert the process morally, not legally? Can you morally subvert the process of justice?
You're talking about a different case, though. I mean, like
no, but the point is, it's a logical, it's a direct syllogism. It's a direct.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. You know. Yeah.
Look.
It's morally identical.
I'm going to give you a general answer.
Has Brian ever debated a brown or black man? I don't know. Probably on Piers. I think he mentioned he on Piers Morgan he went up against Officer Tatum. So I think, yeah. Other than that, I don't know.
Our courts sometimes get it wrong.
Yes.
Sometimes not intentional. Right. I think we could agree the courts aren't perfect, but for the most part, I believe in our system, which I do believe is targeted at sometimes and helps people that are wealthy, people that are rich, people that look like you and me, rather than people that are brown or people that are minorities or people that can't afford good legal.
Oh my gosh, dude, this guy, man, just so lefty brain rotted here. And ways to talk about the courts don't help black or brown people. They let off black or brown people all the time. They're always like letting them off. They change the laws for these people sometimes. And too, like for instance, here in California, it used to be illegal to jaywalk. You know, you would get a ticket or whatever for jaywalking. But since they saw that it disproportionately affected black people, like it was mostly black people that was committing this crime, now it's no longer illegal to jaywalk in California. So there's that. There's that. Or it's like they think about the black person's upbringing and background. It's like, listen, this guy may have assaulted this woman, but you know what? He came from a poor background, so therefore we're going to let him out without bail. And as long as he promises not to do it again, if he comes back on this court date, it's all good to go. They do that shit all the time.
Legal representation.
Maybe this will refine it more. Say you're a judge, and you can make all the decisions you want. There's no penalty. You are shown a video that is deemed later inadmissible, which shows a man murdering his wife. This video is now inadmissible.
Why would it be inadmissible?
I don't know. This is a hypothetical.
Okay, it's a very weird hypothetical.
The idea is someone committed a crime.
Why would the video be inadmissible?
The idea is to decide whether or not duty. You have a duty to do things a certain way.
Okay, but what you're talking about.
How would you have felt?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
How would you have felt if you did not eat breakfast this morning?
Okay, well, hold on a second. Going to go to Kyle Rittenhouse for a moment.
Wait, can we finish my hypothetical? How would you have felt? Can we finish the hypothetical?
Well, I didn't today, actually.
Okay.
But
can we finish the hypothetical?
Okay, but what you're talking about.
He doesn't get a hypothetical. He answered it. He answered it straight. He said, well, I didn't. Dude. Idiot. Yeah. Why is Brian unable to engage in the hypothetical? Yeah, exactly. Because he's an idiot.
I'm going to direct it to Kyle Rittenhouse.
But can we stay in the realm of the abstract so we don't have to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse? I want to just finish the hypothetical.
Sometimes judges make mistakes.
Okay, yes. But if you're the judge, Brian, and you know someone did something wrong, obviously we agree it would be better if someone was in jail for doing something wrong. You have a duty. Do you have a duty?
A judge
doesn't. Do you have a duty?
A judge doesn't decide whether someone's guilty or not.
This is a hypothetical, Brian.
I know, but it's a jury.
Brian, you're in a room, you have a gun, someone killed somebody, you're not.
He's testing the logic.
Brian, the logic is, can you use immoral means to get a moral outcome?
So again, Your question doesn't make any sense to me. Your hypothetical.
He can't engage. He can't do it.
Your question doesn't make any sense to me.
How does that make sense, Brian?
Well, first of all, if you see someone on a tape murdering somebody, there's no way that would be not admissible in a murder case.
If it was
Number
somehow,
two,
if it was somehow.
Number two, a judge doesn't decide.
No,
A jury
wait, perfect,
decides.
perfect. I've got a
Okay?
perfect. I've got a
You
perfect
gotta give me
reason.
a better
hold on.
analogy than
I've
that.
got it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. The evidence was submitted late.
Mhm.
It is a
Well,
perfect.
That happened in the Bill Cosby.
so yes, it's confirmed. Brian is a freaking, I mean, we all knew it, but Brian is a retard. He can't engage in hypotheticals. He actually asked him the how'd you feel if you didn't have breakfast question this morning, morning question, and he couldn't answer it. He answered it straight. So there you go. He doesn't understand. He's like, well, wait a minute, but I didn't have breakfast this morning, so I don't understand what the point of the question is. I don't understand what you're asking me.
Case.
Okay,
And that's why
okay.
he's out right
Hold on,
now.
hold on. Okay, would it have been moral if
I think
he
it's
framed,
wrong,
Would it have
but-
been moral if he framed Bill Cosby to get him in jail?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna timestamp that. I am going to timestamp that. Where was that at? It was like what, about a minute ago or two? I'm just gonna put like about a minute 37 or an hour 37, hour 38. Yeah, I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that.
He just gave the answer.
No.
You said it is wrong for Bill Cosby to be out of jail.
But the prosecutors effed up. See how I said effed up there?
I appreciate
The prosecutors effed up. And we should be angry at the prosecutors for not going by the standards at the courtroom.
I agree, but if the judge decided to frame him instead,
Well,
should we be
obviously
angry at the
that would
judge?
be wrong. Yes, that
Brian,
would be
Brian,
wrong.
yes, we're here. So now we agree. It is wrong to do immoral things to achieve.
From what I read, Majin, from what I read, it was because it was disproportionately affecting African Americans. That's what I read. So, take it for that what it's worth.
a moral end.
Your
we
definition of immoral is
Immoral,
very different than
unjust.
mine.
Okay, our definition of immoral in the case of justice.
We've made that very
Do
clear.
you believe that justice is moral?
Do I believe that justice is moral? In most cases, sure, of
In
course.
most cases?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Depends what you define what situation would be justice or not.
Justice
Your
inherently-
definitions of words are
justice in-
very
justice-
different than
Justice
mine.
inherently is a loaded term. Justice means things in the right place. That's inherently subjective.
Did Renee
So I'm
Good
saying-
get justice?
What does that have to do with anything, Brian?
Because your definitions of words are very different than my definition of what a word is. We
Okay.
don't agree in what justice is for certain
Okay,
people.
we do
We don't
agree.
agree
We do
what
agree.
moralities
We do
are
agree.
for certain people. No,
We
I
do
don't
agree.
think. No, I don't think
we agree on the
don't think we do.
core assumption of what justice is, which is that things should be here, should be there. Can we say that there's a system by which that we should go through to get something done? And the system has to be upheld, and you can't
problem,
break the system
guys,
just because the outcome is
The
more moral.
problem with this conversation is it's extremely subjective.
The problem
What
is
you are
can't
doing.
engage with an objective
I
hypothetical.
am engaging, and I answered
Yes.
your question.
And
But the problem I have is I think
Yes.
there are too many people in society that are very judgmental on others that haven't
Like you,
walked in their
Brian?
shoes.
Brian, I have to
Like
say,
That's
you,
the
Brian?
problem
Brian,
I
have
have.
you ever killed someone?
Like you?
Not that I know of. No.
Then why is it? And then
Not
how
that I
can
know
you,
of.
in your
What?
heart, say that it's right for that man over there who killed someone? He really felt like he needed to do it. How can you say that guy should be locked up? You haven't lived in his shoes. It's a direct syllogism.
Mhm.
You haven't lived in his shoes.
So
you don't know what it's like.
again,
and you
your
never did.
analogies are crazy.
My
You are
analogy is
trying to
identical.
compare. No, it's not.
Hyperbole is a tool
There
for
is-
philosophical
there-
discernment in analogies.
okay,
Always.
there
This
is-
is how it works.
There is nothing comparable,
Identical.
identical, comparable,
They are
whichever word you want to
identical.
use.
They
There
are
is
identical.
there is nothing identical or logical
It
with
is-
a
it is both of those
man or
things.
woman
Do you know what a
who needs
syllogism is?
hold on.
Yeah, but see, when he can't answer it, then he just says, well, it's ridiculous. It's not the same. How can you compare this? It's not the same. Because he can't.
On a second, let me just finish my sentence. Who needs to put food on the table for their kids, who steals $20 worth of food, and somebody that intentionally murders somebody?
That
How
has
can you
nothing to
try
do
to
with this,
compare
because,
the
Brian,
two?
what you are saying is the exact same fallacy. And the fallacy is that because I haven't been in dire situations or I haven't done a crime, that I can't say that the crime should be illegal. For example, legislating murder. Should it be the case that we cannot make murder illegal because everyone who's making that law has not committed murder? Like,
That's ridiculous.
it's a direct analogy. Do you
Yeah.
know what analogy means?
Yes, I do.
analogous.
I know what a lot of the
Identical.
words you're
In
using
terms
means.
of
We just have very
morality-
Are you
different
sure?
definitions
We
of
have
what
the
those
exact
words
same-
are.
Wait a minute. I know what those words mean. We just have two different definitions of what those words are. What? Well, so then do you know what they mean or do you not know what they mean then? Because there's only one definition for these words. There's not multiple definitions according to who you're talking about. This is why word games are important, Brian. So that way we make sure that you guys are both on the same page, because he could be using a word, you could be using that same word, and you guys could be thinking of two totally different things. That's why those pesky word games that you hate matter so much, Brian. But again, it doesn't make any sense. I know what they mean. We have different definitions of what they are. Well, then you might not know what they mean then. By the way, Eric Johnson, thank you very much for the $2. This is two kids playing with their food. Yeah, I know, right? These two young kids are schooling Brian, and they're super young. Brian's like a 50-year-old man. These two kids are probably like 20, 21, 22, very young guys, and already have more intelligence and wisdom than Brian has. Thank you very much, Eric Johnson. By the way, you have just completed the super chat goal. So let's get you guys your reward.
Everybody, we just crossed it, $10,000. Our super chat goal is officially smashed. Woo! You made this happen. Every single one of you in the chat, every name that popped up on that board.
All right. And then let's see what the reward is.
Time for the sudsiest part of the night. You know him, you love him, our resident butler of bubbles, Mr. Bartholomew. Good evening, ladies and gents. He's got the keg cannon locked and loaded. Give him a...
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bartholomew, for giving everyone their reward. And thank you guys very much for completing the super chat goal. Let's go. That's the power of the cool verse right there.
This is a philosophical direct comparison. Can you say that because you have not done a crime, you cannot say that that crime is immoral? I feel as though we can both say that we've not done many crimes. We've not lived in many
I'll
areas.
answer that.
I
I'll
can't
answer
say
that.
what
Hold
it's
on.
like
I'll
living
answer
in
that.
Texas,
I'll
but I can
answer
say
that.
something wrong.
And I'll go back to what I said earlier, and I'll answer that. The reason why I bring up you not being in that person's shoes, that person that is starving, that has to put food on the table for his family, is because you don't understand what that feels like and the position that that person is in. Now, we're not, hold on. We're not talking about murder, okay? We're talking about shoplifting, okay? I'm not saying everybody should shoplift if they're hungry, but stores do have insurance. Nobody's dying. It's not a violent crime.
Oh my gosh, it's the freaking lefty argument. But they have insurance. Exactly the same thing we were told when BLM was destroying the cities during the BLM riots in 2020, the George Floyd riots, Well, they have insurance. Yeah, you think insurance is just going to cover every fucking thing? They're not going to keep covering a business if it keeps getting stolen from or vandalized and such. Eventually, they're going to drop the policyholder, or they're going to drive the policy prices up because of all the stealing and the vandalism. The insurance companies aren't just an endless. They don't just give you endless amounts of money for whatever repairs or whatever you need. It doesn't work like that, Brian. I always hated that argument. Well, they have insurance. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. You're going to make the policies go up. Or they're just going to cancel your policy because they don't cover it, or they're just not going to cover it. Thank you very much, Nerf and Strike, for the $4.99. The only hit hypo Brian understands is if Trump conceded in 2020, J6 doesn't happen. Yeah, exactly, right? Ask Mega to do that hit the hypothetical daily, but can't comprehend being asked one. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I'm going to remember that. Thank you very much, Nerf and Strikenberg. Nerf and Strikeberg for the $4.99. And also, thank you very much, Ron Quaid, for the $5. Every debate he does proves more and more how retarded he is. I can't stand watching him, but I can't stop watching him get wrecked. Yeah, same here. It's like a guilty pleasure, if you will. He's so annoying to watch, but we all love to watch him get destroyed. Thank you very much for your donos, guys.
I'm not condoning it, but I'm also not going to say you are an immoral person because your family. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Brian's logic: a homeless person can rob his house because he has insurance. Yeah, exactly. That's another flaw about this logic. So by Brian's logic, I should be able to go, if I know someone has health insurance, I should just be able to go break their legs. Well, because he has insurance, so why not? Or I should be able to go crash into somebody's car because they have insurance. So why is that wrong?
I mean, what I'm saying here is, I think most people would say it's pretty logical what I'm saying. I'm not condoning. Okay, well, you can call everybody immoral that shoplifts. Okay,
Yes.
you can do that if you would like to.
Yes.
I disagree with you. Okay.
Okay, let's talk
I
about why,
disagree
though.
with you.
So this is where I want to get to. We're here. We agree that we disagree. So my question is, if we agree that we can't use immoral means to reach moral outcomes.
Depends on what it is.
Okay, so sometimes we do. So
Depends on what it is.
okay, so here's the question: how do you draw that line?
I just told you.
At what point? No, you didn't.
Yes, I
At
did.
what point, ideologically, can you say that someone is in a situation where they deserve the privilege or the right, I guess, to do an immoral activity?
I didn't say they
When
had
should
the right.
And
what
better
I
yet,
I never
actually,
said that. What I did say
better
is
yet, I have a
that
question.
I'm understanding of it, and I wouldn't call that
You can
person an
understand
immoral
everything.
person.
Wait, hold on. Just
Okay.
because you understand something, you can't say it's immoral.
Okay.
I understand people, for example, the Christian thing. I totally understand people who have premarital sex. I don't think it's moral. I totally understand people. I've been in a car, before and had someone cut me off. I could understand someone.
How old are you, by the way? I
crashing
don't know how
out.
old you are.
I'm 19 years old.
You're 19. So you voted for
Wow.
him.
19. That kid is 19 years old, and that guy's already more smarter and more intelligent beyond his years compared to Brian. Like, he's already smarter than Brian, and he's only 19 years old. Yeah. Someone said in the chat earlier, Andrew was right, where these young kids could go and debate Brian and use Brian just to pad out their debating resume. But yeah, this kid's already a smart kid. He's already dog walking Brian, and Brian's like 50 years old.
Last election.
No,
By the way, I don't know if he's really 50 years old. I'm just guessing. I just like ripping on him. I don't know how old he is.
I
Why? Why not?
was 17.
Okay, so you weren't able to vote. Okay.
No, I wasn't.
Who would you have voted for?
I don't know how this is related, but you know what? We can
It's
talk
very
about
related.
it. I would have voted for Donald Trump.
Mhm.
However,
And you want to preach to me about morals?
okay, well, let's talk about
You're laughing, but you guys can't defend this. Let's talk about this.
Brian.
This is exactly why Andrew, during their debate, was trying to get into Brian's morality and where he grounds his ethics from, because he's judging, saying, "Oh yeah, and you want to call yourselves moral? You voted for Donald Trump." Okay, Brian. Well, where do you get your morality from that you could say it's immoral to vote for Donald Trump? And he's like, how dare you? How dare you play with me in these word games and such? I didn't ask. I wasn't here to debate ethics. I was just here to spurk about Trump. Why don't you guys understand? Why do you guys keep laughing at me, huh?
Let's
How
talk
can
about
both
it.
of you
You know
guys-
what, Brian? Let's
How
go.
can you
Let's
call
go, Brian.
yourself a
Let's talk about
Christian
it.
and vote for this guy?
Brian, I can say I have actually undergone a great transformation in my ideology
Mhm.
since the 2024 election.
Okay.
At the time, based off of what I knew, I felt very, very confident that Donald Trump would be the correct.
Right now,
candidate.
who would you vote for? Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
Right
Let's
now,
end that
I would
discussion.
either not vote or probably vote for Kamala Harris,
You would vote for
What?
Kamala Harris.
or I'd not vote. I probably just wouldn't vote.
Did you vote for Obama?
No, I did not.
Okay.
The
Well, but
reason-
no, I could say I probably
And
would.
That's why I'm independent. I didn't vote for Obama. I didn't vote for Hillary, and I voted for like 10 Republicans. So yeah, that's why I'm an independent, guys. I don't know why you guys think I'm a fucking liberal or a lefty. But by the way, it's like again, even if I would still, Donald Trump is still a better choice than Kamala Harris.
I'll tell you why, since we're talking about morals, because I'm glad you brought that up.
Like like Brian talks about how Joe Biden, screwed up and he messed up a lot of things. It would have been the same under Kamala. She would have just been continuing the agenda, because it was obvious Biden wasn't like running the country. It was like obviously some freaking shadow, either his cabinet or whatnot was like running it for him. It would have been the same with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris wouldn't have been running the country.
He's escaping.
No, I'm not escaping anything. I think if anything, you're escaping.
No, I just told you. I just told you that I know based on what I know now. I
You're
think
saying
Trump's
you
gonna
wouldn't
fail.
vote?
I'm saying I either
That's
wouldn't.
escaping.
No, it's not. Okay, under Catholicism, harm reduction is mixed over when you can.
Why
and
wouldn't you
can't
vote for
vote.
Kamala Harris?
Why wouldn't I vote for Kamala
Yeah,
Harris?
yeah.
Based off of what I know right now, it's hard to go back in hindsight, because in hindsight, a lot of Trump's promises were a lot better.
Forget
than his
about Trump.
outcomes.
Forget about Trump. What policies?
What? Forget about Trump? For once in his life, he doesn't want to talk about Trump? Oh, yeah. Now that we want to compare him to Trump, which, by the way, Brian's the one comparing her to Trump. He's the one that's giving this choice of Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. And so, yes, you kind of have to answer it. This is probably the one time where it's like, oh, okay, appropriate to compare her to Donald Trump and bring up Donald Trump. So the only time where you could say it's appropriate, all of a sudden it's like, without bringing up Donald Trump. Amazing.
Kamala Harris were you against?
What policy about Kamala Harris was
Yeah.
against? I was mainly against that she had a lack of economic policy descriptions. So I agree with
She
some
did?
of yes, I agree with some of
Do you know
Joe
what she
Biden.
wanted to do with the tax bracket? Do you know what she wanted to do with the policies that she wanted to put in place when it comes to the economy?
I
Under
remember-
$400,000 a year household income, she wanted to lower the tax bracket to 26%. She wouldn't have given the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. I can tell you
agree
that
with
right now.
I agree.
She wouldn't have
I can
done
say here-
tariffs.
Here, can we make it more clear? So going back, my only mixes up with Kamala Harris's campaign. If we're talking about Joe Biden's economic strategy as opposed to some of Trump's economics, I can pick and choose and find points that I agree with more on Biden's side and more on Trump's side. And assuming that Kamala Harris would have been a continuation of that, I can say that it would have been tolerable to have her economic strategy and not have the war in Iran, assuming that wouldn't have happened, and not have what I see as a failure of mass deportations that has galvanized people like you against the idea of mass deportation in a way that I think is frankly immoral.
Yeah, I don't.
So I disagree with some of that. Like, I disagree with the whole, like, I don't think it's Trump's policy that's making people so galvanized against it. I think it's just the Trump derangement syndrome that people hate how Donald Trump's doing everything now, handling the deportations. I mean, again, like, he has to amp up these deportations because Joe Biden allowed in 10 million people, which, by the way, Kamala Harris showed no signs of putting an end to that. She showed no signs of wanting to put a stop to that at all. So if we were to be in the middle of a Kamala Harris presidency right now, that number would probably up to even higher than what Joe Biden did. If you add Joe Biden's numbers to it, it would be even higher now. So listen, Donald Trump, like, having to amp up these deportations, even if he's not deporting as many as we would like, it's still better than if Kamala Harris were president, because at least Donald Trump's doing something that the only reason people hate is because it's Trump doing it. I mean, Brian even acknowledges that it's because Trump's doing it is why he doesn't like the deportations.
I think that undocumented immigrants are the threat to this country that you
They're
guys
the
think.
threat. No, they're a big threat to rule of law because rule of law collapse is one of the number one things that ruins empires and destroys civilizations.
I
want to bring Kai back in for the last 10 minutes because you've been
wanted to
patient. Thank you, Kai.
You're anti-porn. I wanted to talk about that, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, now Brian has to freaking defend gooning now. He has to defend cooming. He's like, well, I really wanted to defend the corn. Okay, listen, I like defending corn actually more than I love bashing Trump. It's unbelievable. I know you think that there is nothing I love more than bashing Trump, but I wanted to make sure I get in the defending cooming. Thank you very much, Eric Goss, for the 5 New Zealand dollars. Kamala is run/owned/managed by the same people in black suits that probably had a meeting with Dan and Cash the first day they went into the FBI. Yeah, I agree with that. I think so too. Thank you very much, Eric Goss, for your support. Very much appreciated. Yeah, exactly. The Gooner grin. Look, he's already has this Coomer grin. He's like, oh, well, let's talk about corn, huh? Yeah. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Take off your shirts.
Why
I mean,
you
we could
anti-porn?
spend the last 10 minutes.
You want to do that?
We could just clip farm the last 10 minutes.
I'm surprised to hear that anybody is like super in favor of pornography legalization.
I'm in favor of people that are not breaking the law having the right to do what they want to do and not taking those rights away from them.
Okay, so if heroin was legal, would you be in favor of that?
Give me evidence how porn is horrible for society.
So it is one of the most addictive substances, particularly due to the age at which people are exposed, which is
18,
on average.
right?
No, the age of first exposure is on average.
Okay, so that would be
9 and
illegal.
12 years
So
old.
that would be illegal.
Well, hold on.
I didn't say I support illegal pornography.
No. The pornography.
legal.
Hold on. The pornography itself is not illegal. What we're talking about is the way that policy influences accessibility, right? So legalization of pornography influences the availability of pornography, which obviously is going to affect the amount and the rates at which pornography is accessed by people who are underage.
Understood. Kai,
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yes.
If you're underage,
You shouldn't get porn?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome.
Let's talk about legal age.
Hold on. Here's the issue.
Mhm.
We don't exist in a society where simply saying that you should not do something is going to stop people from
There are
doing it.
people under the age of 16 that drive cars too. I can't control that.
You're right. But would you legalize or make the driver's license age 12?
No.
You should have played the Brian game and be like, you want to compare accessing corn to driving a car underage, huh? Without a license? You want to compare those two? They're not the same thing. He should have just done that right to Brian, because that's what Brian would have done if he would have tried making the same analogy. Thank you very much, Kevin, for the $4.99. Have you seen the video of Brian gambling, insulting the other player? Hilarious stuff. Yeah, actually, I covered it. It's actually up on my other channel, my secondary channel, Everybody Be Cool. Link is in the description down below. But yes, I did cover it. It's pretty hilarious. Brian's just always been a jackass, it turns out.
Oh, you wouldn't.
Of course not.
So why would you
Okay,
legalize
so
and
Kai-
make more accessible
So, Kai,
pornography?
we agree that
No, can you answer that? Like that is another great analogy. If you believe,
if you want to talk about accessibility,
hold on.
then
Yes.
I would agree with you on that.
you think it should be less accessible?
Hold on. If you want higher standards to prove that you're of age, I
Mhm.
would be okay with that.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm
That's
okay
a
with
good
that.
start.
So let's focus on the legal age now.
Mhm.
Why is porn bad for legal?
Well,
age?
I think porn is always bad. I think
Why?
porn destroys marriages. It increases perceptions of violence, or rather the morality or the
I think
acceptance
I
of
think you
violence
can make the
within
argument that porn
relationships.
sometimes can help a marriage that's struggling. So I would disagree with you on that.
I think you can make every single take
Yeah.
in the book, but I don't think that would be
So if
true.
a woman wants to
Mhm.
show off her body and be an OnlyFans model, which clearly you're against, which
Yes.
I find bizarre,
Certainly.
Which I find bizarre. Like, what? You're a straight man. Well, you just don't want to see naked women all the time. I mean, yeah, that's where morality comes in, Brian. That's where morality comes in. It's not about like, oh yes, really, like we just don't like looking at naked women. It's just that's where our morality comes in, Brian. It tells us that no, we shouldn't do that. It's probably not healthy for us.
what
Just because you care about the consistency, I'm against men doing it too.
Okay, that's fine. If a woman wants to do that and it's not against the law and she wants to show off her body and make money in doing so, why are you so against that? I don't understand that.
Because
And then gooners and creeps like me can get off to it. Well, why is that wrong?
the metric by which I oppose or agree with something is not simply based on whether or not the person wants to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think hedonism should be our overarching moral philosophy.
Why should you? Okay, if you don't want to watch porn, I would never force you. You have the right to be anti-porn.
I'm glad you would not watch.
Live your-
I'm glad you would not force me to watch
No,
pornography.
but the point I'm trying to make is live your life.
Yes.
And if you're anti-porn, no problem. Now I'm going to be the first one to admit I'm not really into porn. I do go to the Avian Expo because I have a few people that are friends that are in the industry. I've never paid for porn in my life. People
That's an
can,
interesting
people
caveat.
can, well, I'm just saying.
Yeah. First of all, do we really believe that Brian Shapiro is not into corn? Do we really believe that? And then he says that he went to the corn convention because he has friends there that work there. Oh, okay, but you're not into corn, but you have friends that are in the industry that work there or whatever. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
I'm not coming from the aspect of, oh my God, Brian loves porn. He's obsessed with it. I'm not.
No, it doesn't
But
seem
what
Clip it.
like that at all.
But what I am telling you is I don't like the government getting involved in other people's lives. We could be talking about abortion, which obviously I'm sure you're against.
Do you believe there should be that any drug should be illegal?
If there, first of all, it has been proven that there are certain substances and drugs that are extremely harmful. My sister died of a drug overdose.
You're correct.
So obviously there needs to be certain parameters put in place, and there are certain drugs. Listen, I think doctors in general overprescribe people that are suffering from depression.
But Brian, specifically the drugs that are currently illegal. If I just really wanted to do heroin, and I'm not forcing that on anybody, it's like I want to take it because it makes me feel great.
Yeah.
Why is the government?
You're comparing drugs with porn.
Yes, that
Now
is.
you're comparing.
Well,
drugs.
no.
But he literally just earlier he compared kids watching corn, getting access to corn as the same way as a kid being able to access a car, driving a car. So how come he's able to make these comparisons, but they can't? Every time they try to make an analogy, he's like, "Oh, you're comparing those two things." But Brian does it all the time.
Porn is a drug. Porn is literally a
Really?
drug.
So can you give me an instance where somebody was watching pornography and they died because of it?
Well, actually, yes. Actually, yes.
Okay, I'd love to hear that.
It's typically related in autoerotic asphyxiation, which is an
Yeah.
offspring.
I was gonna say it's probably the whole hanging yourself thing. You know, like didn't Christopher Lambert? Was it Christopher Lambert? No, it wasn't Christopher Lambert. Was it Christopher Lambert? Oh man, I'm thinking someone died. It wasn't Christopher Lambert. It was the guy from Kill Bill. Him. He freaking died of that, didn't he?
Of sexual deviancy and obsession, which springs, by the way, of pornography, because what it does is desensitize people to natural stimuli.
Yeah,
So there's
David
your example
Carradine.
because you asked for it.
It was David Carradine that did it. Yes. Yeah, he died because of it, right? Yeah, Kung Fu legend. Yeah, definitely a legend. But yeah, David Carradine's the one.
But again, let's go
Why are you
back to the
comparing drug. I just think that's
no.
weird
It is a
analogy.
drug. It is a drug.
There are a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
is.
Pornography.
people-
Pornography is addictive. Pornography
Yeah.
is a drug.
I think food is addictive.
I agree.
So should we ban food too?
Well, this is actually
Again, making analogies. Okay. So again, every time they try to make an analogy, it's like, you're comparing those two. Oh, okay, Brian, you're comparing corn to food, huh? Brian's allowed to make all the analogies he wants, but when these two try to do it, it's like, oh, you're comparing those two as if they're the same. Yeah, corn is not the same as food, Brian. Technically, yeah, listen, you could get addicted to anything. You could get addicted to anything, but you're more likely to get addicted to drugs than you are food. You're more likely to get addicted to corn than you are food. It is absolutely 100% like a drug, and I'm glad this dude's saying that.
actually a perfect example.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should absolutely place
should ban
limits. You
food.
should place limits on food. Yeah, we do it actually all the time. Are
So-
you in favor of some of the restrictions?
ban
hold on.
soda.
Well, let me finish.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, but are you in favor of
Wow.
getting
Wow.
rid of the limits that we place on the production of food that the Department of what is it?
The FDA.
The FDA.
Food and
Yeah,
Drug
the Food and Drug Administration. The Food and Drug Administration places limits
Mhm.
and places specific boundaries on how food can be produced, what kind of nutrients it has to have. We put excess labels. They do that all over Europe and in Argentina.
Sure.
Do you think we should get rid of all of those?
I think it's good to have certain standards when it comes to certain products that are exceptionally horrible for you.
Perfectly.
Yes,
Awesome.
But I don't think we should also stop people from buying chocolate, which we know in general chocolate's not good for you. Sodas in
What
general not
about
good for you.
cigarettes?
There's a lot of things in life.
Should
that
we
are not
should
good
we
for
stop
you.
people from buying cigarettes
I
if they
certainly-
really want to smoke
I-
cigarettes?
I believe we should stop Andrew Wilson from smoking cigarettes. Fuck that guy. Smoky man bad.
I certainly don't think cigarettes are very good for society. But if you're going to ban cigarettes, then weed has to be illegal.
Perfect.
So you think all that stuff should be illegal?
Absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely.
So
Alcohol
no-
too. I'm
so-
actually
no alcohol.
Yep.
Wow. I mean that would. I mean life would be okay.
It would be a dream. In fact, far
A
fewer
dream.
people
No
would
porn.
die.
All right, hold
There'd
on.
be less domestic violence. You would have far fewer people who would be destroying
So you
property
want government
publicly.
involved in everything. All right. So in
No,
Kai's
no,
life,
no. I just think that it should be easier for good people to live good lives.
So
And
in
I think right
Kai's
now-
life-
I think right now we push vices onto people and we expect them to get out scotch-free. But in this day and age, there's not a single child who is going to
So-
get out of his teenage years without having seen pornography and likely
okay.
addicted.
So
Yeah.
respectfully, are you married?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do you believe in sex before marriage?
Do I believe it exists, or I believe people should do it?
Yeah.
I think I've answered that 3 times.
Are you a virgin?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So in Kai's life,
Mhm.
nobody should have sex until they're married.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's just backtrack a little bit. In
I
Kai's
don't know what I'm
life,
holding on. I just
in
answered.
Kai's life,
Is Brian judging Kai?
no sex until marriage.
Based.
No sugar products or anything that are proven to
No,
be bad for you.
I'm rage baiting you a little
No,
bit.
hold on.
But
Let me finish.
No, well,
no
I'm
drugs.
clarifying.
Life seems to be extremely exciting in the eyes through Kai. No sex.
Well, actually,
no drugs. Listen, if you want
actually,
to live,
I do think
if
life can
you
be
want-
exciting without sex and
if
drugs.
you want to live
I
that
don't know if
boring,
that's like a
in
crazy
my
idea
opinion,
now,
if you
but-
want to live that life, which I find to be extremely boring, then you have the right
that's
to do
sad.
that.
I think it's
I
unfortunate.
think your life. I think that's sad.
You think it's sad that I don't have sex or do drugs or drink alcohol? You think that's sad?
I think it's sad that you want to tell other people and make judgments about other people what you think they should. If you want to live that life, that's
But that's what you're fucking doing, Brian, this whole time. That's all you fucking do is judge people and tell people what they should and shouldn't think, okay? Just because you're not forcing anybody doing something, you're still going around every debate I see and you're judging the person across from you, telling them like, oh, well, I can't believe you think that. I can't believe you believe that. I can't believe you voted this way. That's all you fucking do, Brian.
fine.
Dude,
but I'm making
hold
judgments now because you're making judgments about people that watch.
I
porn.
haven't done that, Brian. I haven't done that. What I've done this entire time is I've said, not judging the content of these people's character.
No
You-
drinking,
hold
no
on, hold on.
sex,
Brian,
no weed, no.
Brian's mind's blowed. Like, what? I can't live a life with no drinking and no sex and no weed. Like, what? What's the point of life then? I'd pretty much rather be dead. Like, Brian can't fathom like someone living their life like that. To him, like he thinks that's the only way to live your life is if you drink and having sex, smoking weed, and doing all these things. Like Brian can't fathom just not doing any of those things.
Anything.
Brian, yes, but Brian, do you think I look at somebody who is a drug
Yeah, he's
addict?
he's spurking out in a debate where Trump was mentioned several times. This is the most he's spurking out in this debate. Hearing someone else saying, "Yeah, I don't think you should have premarital sex, do drugs, do these things." Brian's like, "What? What?" Like he can't fathom.
And do you think I look at them and say, what a
Being
terrible
a drug
person?
addict.
Hold on. Do you think I look at that person and say, what a terrible person? No, I look at a person who is a victim of a system that has pushed drugs into their lives. This happens with opiates, and it also happens with illegal drugs and pornography.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, I understand, but in every
There's
single
drugs that
in
obviously
every single
are,
case,
you know.
I look at the people who are addicted to vices, and I wish we could have done something to make those vices
There's
less
a lot
accessible.
of people, there's a lot
Brian, you fucking degen, huh? You fucking degen.
of people that would say they don't have a sex vice. They're not addicted to porn.
There's a lot of people who would say
hold
that,
on.
and they're lying.
Okay, so everybody that watches
That is
porn
not
is
what I
addicted
said.
to porn.
That is not what I said.
Wait,
But I think there are way more people
Probably
who watch porn
most.
that are addicted to porn than people
Yeah.
Okay,
who
but what
aren't.
about the people
I was gonna say probably majority of people that watch porn are addicted. Majority.
that aren't? You want to take it away from them
Well,
too?
I have a question though. What about the people who aren't addicted to cocaine and use it occasionally?
Again, you're comparing a product that is proven to kill people to pornography, which I think is a very poor analogy.
So what makes cocaine
Yeah.
like we're talking about like immorality, and I actually am a little bit less radical on the view than Kai, but like even then, if you're talking about Kai's statement of morality, the morality of them is the same because it's a action that is deemed bad. Just because you're not killed doesn't mean it's bad. Like if there was a drug that disfigured you or made you weirder or made you lose brain cells, that's bad too.
There are
right?
certain drugs that are obviously more harmful than others.
We
Yes.
can
Okay.
certainly agree.
And cocaine is a drug that is an extremely harmful drug that has killed
Yeah,
millions
but
of people.
where do you draw the line though on harm?
Here's where I draw the
Yeah.
line.
When harm's okay.
Sure. So there are some people that would make the argument that marijuana is very bad for you, and
It
it's
is.
a gateway drug to other drugs.
It is.
There are other doctors and people that are in this industry that have far more medical
You know who they're paid
experience than
off by?
me and you.
You know who they're paid off?
No,
You know what's funny is that Brian right here is saying that there are doctors out there that knows more than me and you, blah blah blah, that are probably going to defend weed and blah blah blah. But Brian just earlier just said that there are a lot of doctors out there that overprescribe medication to people that probably don't need it as much, that they overdo it. So what is it, Brian? Do doctors know everything or do they not? Because I could be like, well, Brian, those doctors, they know more than you and me. Who are you to say that they shouldn't be prescribing all these medications to these people? Who are you to say that? You know, anyone could say that to them, but Brian, and I would agree with Brian that yes, sometimes doctors prescribe medications that's probably some people don't need, or they prescribe it too much because they want to make money from big pharma. So I would agree with him there, but the thing is that Brian, his morality is all over the place because he doesn't have a good foundational grounding of his morality. It's just all about how he feels about something. That's all it is, and that he's showing it in real time.
no, sir. I
They're
know
paid
people.
off by the weed lobby.
Not true.
100%.
Not true, because I know people. Again, this comes to life experience. I have friends of mine and people that are in this industry that are no longer in it, that are retired, that aren't getting paid from anybody, that would tell you that marijuana has a lot of things that help people with
And it-
different
and it calms them
diseases,
down.
helping people with pain. Listen, it's a case by case.
It's like this guy just like, here's all of the lefty talking points, lefty/libertarian talking points, and he just goes with it. And he just decided, okay, this is what I'm believing in, and that's it.
Basis, but nobody can compare marijuana to cocaine, which cocaine is a far
Hey, good
more
to see you,
serious
Swamp.
drug.
Yes.
That's done far more harm for people.
So Brian, you and I don't disagree. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but what Jackson's saying, this is absolutely true, is that you have things that are worse and things that are maybe not as bad, but that doesn't mean that you can't limit access to those things. And I would add, on this pornography issue, and this is what I think is incredibly predatory. You have a society now where young women who are in their teens are groomed with this idea and the availability, right, of a life of luxury, of all of these things that they would want. And the only thing they have to do is sell their bodies as a commodity. First of all, I think there's a bit of an issue with that. But second of all, you have case after case where women are groomed before they are 18 to start doing that the moment they turn 18. There are Disney actors,
and that's
Disney
wrong.
actresses
Okay,
that have
so
done
hold on,
that.
Kai,
That's
Kai.
wrong. Hold on. But what it recognizes is that this industry affects people far before the age that they should legally be accessing it. And I think it is a completely, and this is the operative word here, it is a coercive force. We should limit coercive forces so that agency, the ability to choose between right and wrong, is maximized in our society.
Okay, so if somebody is groomed into something,
Yes.
then obviously I disagree with that.
Yeah, but
hold on, Kai. How many strippers have you ever talked to in your life?
Oh, geez. Well, Brian lives in Vegas, so I'm pretty sure he frequents strip clubs all the time. Oh, he's like, I've never paid for corn, but I'm pretty sure he's always at the strip club giving them money. But look at him, look at the smile on his face. How many strippers? He's saying this like this is a brag. How many strippers have you ever talked to, Kai? I bet you 0, you fucking virgin. I talk to a ton of strippers. I'm there every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. A lot of my money goes through these strippers. How many of them have you talked to, Kai? You fucking loser. This guy.
A couple, actually.
A couple. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you asked them and you've gotten into questions about why they got into the industry, or were they all groomed, or was it their personal decision?
A lot of them claim it was because of, it was going to provide them financial independence. I think financial independence is one of the best ways to groom people. It is to tell.
Yeah, exactly. This is Brian Shapiro, Swamp. He's a legend here about how TDS inflicted he is. He's one of these crazed lefties he's basically a big idiot who loves to spurg about Trump. We love watching and laughing at him, so that's what we're doing today. How much do you want to bet Brian dated a stripper? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has. I'm willing to bet he's at least dated one stripper in his life, and he probably thought he dated a bunch of others. Oh, I'm gonna go visit my stripper girlfriend.
Tell them, okay, I'm going to give you a lot of money if you do that.
Well,
and especially if you're young and impressionable, you're going to say a lot of money. Absolutely.
Well, it's a case by case basis. I also know some people in this industry.
You think Trump did that, by the way? You do think that Trump?
Yeah.
Trump now. What?
Yeah, correct. Because this is the argument that you made.
His eyes lit up.
What was the argument about Trump?
that Trump would groom women who were young into this.
I never said that.
Okay. Do you not believe that? Do you not believe that Trump was grooming younger women?
So wait a minute. So now that we're talking to something that Brian likes, that goes that is in his book of Brian, strip clubs are okay. He's pro strip clubs, and now that that ties into Trump, all of a sudden now Brian doesn't think Donald Trump's a groomer. Oh, okay. Donald Trump's a young girl rapist, and he's been in the Epstein files according to he's been accused multiple times in the Epstein files, according to Brian Shapiro. But now all of a sudden, well, I don't know if Donald Trump's a groomer. Oh, it's crazy how that works.
Here's what I will say about Trump and women. Again,
we got to close off soon. So
yeah, I mean, we know his sexcapades. We know
I'm against all of them.
What he said. Well, I mean, the entire party that you're in voted him in. Well, 6 out of 10 Republicans still think he won the 2020 election.
I also.
Oh, Brian, now he's like, all right, cool. Now we get to end this off with me spurging about Trump again. This is where I'm a pro. No stripper would actually date him. They just lead him on to take his money. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, he probably thought he had some stripper girlfriends, It's like, I'm going to go visit my girlfriend at the strip club, his like go-to stripper that probably just takes advantage of him for his money, that he like calls his girlfriend, but it's like they don't have really a relationship outside of the strip club. That's not transactional at all. So yeah, that's probably what happened here.
So I also don't believe that you vote on an individual because you agree with their moral character entirely.
So you're okay
I don't think there's probably a single president in the last 4 decades that is entirely of exonerable moral character.
Never said that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
It's incomparable. The man that is Donald Trump.
Okay, I disagree.
So
I think that extrajudicial bombings in Libya are like just as comparable, if not possibly worse, than impropriety in sexual relationships.
Okay, so people would say,
I think killing people in foreign wars. Yeah, I think, and to the
that's
extent
what
that
Trump is doing right now.
Well, he's doing that right now, but Obama did that 10 years ago, right?
So what war did Barack Obama?
Exactly.
No, I'm talking about the extrajudicial bombings in Libya. I think those were absolutely wrong, and I think those are actually worse than impropriety.
Well, okay, so you disagree with what Barack Obama did there.
Yes, but I don't believe that a Democrat has to absolutely abstain from voting for Obama because they don't believe that every part of his life is completely
We're not
unimpeachable.
talking about every part of his life.
I think you are.
No.
Yeah.
That's what we are talking about.
You're drawing an arbitrary line of which things make one disqualifiable and which ones don't.
Well,
but then you're putting it in a framework of a two-party system wherein you have to compete between options.
So you did have 2 options. And if you're making the argument that, well, I like some of Donald Trump's policies, and I'll forget about his ties to the Epstein files and the sexual abuse and the felonies and the fact of the discrimination lawsuits and Trump University.
I think that's what people do with Obama.
Attacking. Really? Did Barack Obama ever attack a POW and say, I don't respect him because he was captured? Is Barack Obama in the Epstein files? Was he hanging out with child predators? You tell me, is Barack Obama a felon? You tell me.
Here we go.
Is Barack Obama?
Here we go. Now Brian's cooking. Now he's cooking. Now he's back to what he's an expert at and spurking about Trump.
The guy that cheated on every woman he's ever. Mr. Moral.
Did Barack Obama hang out with Bill? Hold on. Did Barack Obama hang out with Bill Clinton?
Did Barack Obama hang out with Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files. Bill Clinton is by proxy, by the transitive property, a sexual predator.
Right.
Obama hangs out with sexual predators. So you've made your own case.
So first
you see
of all,
how ridiculous
no. Hold on. Bill Clinton is a sexual predator.
Yeah.
Was it ever proven in a court? Was he ever found liable?
I think I'll
wasn't. Okay,
spare
the
you.
answer's
Hold
no.
on, hold on. I'll
The
spare
answer's
you.
no.
I'll spare you. By the way,
The answer's no.
I'll spare you the minutia about this. I think that
You're
almost,
a Christian man.
I think that almost every single politician is liable for some kind of
to
sexual
compare
impropriety.
Donald Trump. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was Barack Obama's sexual impropriety?
Oh, hold on. Again, this
What was
isn't
Joe
this
Biden?
is
Oh, again, okay, by that logic, then why do you bring up the Epstein files, Brian? You shouldn't bring up the Epstein files because Donald Trump was never charged or convicted in a court of law by any accusations that are in the Epstein files. He's never been convicted or charged with that. So why do you keep bringing that up if your metric is, well, was he ever charged or convicted in a court of law? Well, neither was Donald Trump when it came to the Epstein files. So there you go. Why do you keep bringing that up? You bring that up, but when it comes to Obama or I should say Bill Clinton or Joe Biden, who Joe Biden was also been accused too. All of a sudden it's, yeah, but were they ever convicted in a court of law? Huh?
this
Sexual
isn't a
impropriety.
statement. Let's be clear. This isn't a statement I'm basing on convictions. I think the majority.
No. I'm talking about accusations. Where's Barack Obama been accused of sexual impropriety?
Hold on. I could probably pull up a list of them. What I pulled
You
up
could,
is the
really.
example with Bill Clinton. But
Yeah,
that doesn't.
I mean, Obama's been accused of having gay sex with this man for for coke or whatever. That's been an accusation there.
I don't defend Bill
Hold on,
Clinton.
Brian doesn't bring that up.
that
I think
doesn't.
he's a scumbag. I would never vote for him. Would you say the same about Donald Trump? I
Well,
think Bill Clinton
actually
was a
did vote.
scumbag.
Well, yeah.
Your entire party
I
voted
think
this
within,
guy
I
in.
think within moral character, yeah, absolutely. I've
He's
said
a
that
piece
numerous
of
times.
garbage. You would agree?
No, I don't make moral character
You don't.
judgments. No.
Okay. What about a child predator or a pedophile in general? Was Harvey Weinstein a piece of human garbage? Was
No,
Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't call anybody a piece
Okay.
of human garbage.
So Jeffrey Epstein isn't.
I think that is a despicable thing
raping
to
a
do.
child is not.
I
make you a piece of
I don't make
Okay.
and you're like being specific about it because you think
Very specific.
yes, I know, because you're trying to generate a clip. But what
I'm not
all
trying
I'm
to
doing,
generate any clips.
no, absolutely you are. All I've been
I
doing,
don't edit my own videos. I don't generate clips.
all
I
I've
don't
been
know what you're
doing,
talking
all I've been
about.
doing this entire time is affirming the same Christian ethic that I've
Mhm.
applied consistently throughout,
Mhm.
whether it's with both of us, whether it's with
Does
you.
Donald Trump have ethics?
I'm telling you mine.
You got him going with Trump.
Can we please have Donald Trump and debate you?
If somebody, if somebody took
Yeah,
a shot,
I'm sure he would debate.
you know,
me.
speaking of this whole alcohol,
I would love it if Trump. Can someone get this stupid ginger chin leprechaun out of here with his stupid newsboy hat? He thinks he's selling newspapers, guys. He thinks he's selling newspapers out here on the street. Hey, can you give me a copy of yesterday's paper, young man? That would be absolutely glorious.
speaking of the whole issue of substances, I hope nobody's doing a drinking game, and it's based on the number
Well,
of times.
unlike
yeah.
you,
Trump's name is
unlike you, I
mentioned.
don't want to tell people what they should or shouldn't do or what I think is morally wrong as far as drinking.
I'll
or
do it right
drugs
now.
or-
I
Yeah, you
think
do.
I
What
think
do you mean?
people
Yeah, you do.
I think people
No,
I
I
think
don't wanna do
people
that.
should go to the gym. I think people should not do illegal drugs. I don't think people should abuse opiates. I don't think people should view pornography. And I think if every single person abided by every single thing I just said, the society would be far off better for it.
I think life would be very boring. We'd be living a very boring life. No
I-
sex before marriage.
Brian,
We'd have a lot of people
Who are
that
you to
are backed up,
judge?
Kai. I think
Why are you judging, Brian? Why are you judging if it's boring? Who cares what you think? Why are you judging him? If that's the life he wants to live, why are you judging him?
you're backed up.
Brian, I think it is incredibly sad that we have gotten to a point in our society where you do not believe an individual can have fun without having sex
Obviously,
or
I'm
drugs.
being a little bit facetious. And
Ooh, I'll take. I mean, listen, whatever is cheaper for you, but I'll take vinyl.
by the way,
don't know
I
if
don't do drugs, so
Thank you very much.
I'm being extremely facetious.
No nicotine?
I've never been a drug person. I smoke a cigar once in a while. I go to a cigar bar once
No
in a while, but you
marijuana?
don't inhale. I've done marijuana a few times in my life. I don't react well to
No-
it. I
no
don't enjoy it.
craving?
No, I don't do any of that
Okay,
stuff.
good.
I don't do any of that stuff. I enjoy music. I enjoy sports. That was my drug growing up.
Music and sport. Yeah, I was a tennis star. You know, I was a little tennis star. Huh? And then I listened to live. I love live. Favorite band. I have the banner up in my house. Huh? Yeah. Have you heard the Dolphins cry? Huh? Love it. Love it.
Playing sports. I'm also not from that cloth. I'm not a druggie. I don't do drugs. I'm not a big porn person. Yes, I've gone to a few strip clubs here and there. I'm not going to lie to you. I have friends that are OnlyFans models.
I wouldn't have pushed you on it. I
but-
wouldn't have pressed you on it.
But I don't.
We're all laughing at him. Yeah, he's gone to a strip club like a few times. Yeah, like maybe once a month, once a week at least, probably. I've gone to strip clubs a few times. Yeah, you know, sure, why not? Yeah, I don't pay for corn though. You know, that's loser stuff. Who pays for corn? But yeah, I'll pay for a stripper. Yeah, sure, that's not a loser-ish behavior.
The difference between you and me is I don't like to tell other people you shouldn't be doing this, or this.
I think the difference between
If you want
I
to
think
be a
the difference-
virgin at the age of 50, I'm not going to. I'll be like, hey, that's your.
Well,
choice,
I don't
man.
want to be a virgin at the
No,
age of
you
50,
won't.
I
let's
know,
be
but
clear.
my point is, in a normal conversation, I'm not looking at you and saying, "Oh, well, Kai's a virgin." You know, I want
That's
you to be
true,
able to.
because you know what
I
my
want you
reply
to
would
be able
be?
to live your life
You want to know what
and
my
do
reply
what you
would be?
want
It
to
would
do.
be, it would be, yeah, you know what?
But I
I
disagree
could
on
be like,
God.
I could be like you any day of the week, but you can never be like
but
me
you know
again.
what? I think God.
I like how these guys are just laughing at Brian now. Am I really the one who remembers him giving Andrew grief for smoking and then implied he was drunk when they debated? Yeah, I remember that time. He was like, "Oh, you're drunk. I think you have a drinking problem." Andrew's like, "I only had like one shot." And he's like, "Oh, well, now I could have sworn you drinking more." And he's like, "No." And then Brian was like, "Well, I think you're drunk. I think you have an alcohol problem." Isn't Brian judging then? Isn't Brian judging a person by doing that? That's the thing about this guy. That's the thing about this guy. Like he'll lecture you about judging people, but then he'll judge you for judging people and for the things that you believe. So Kaya is saying, "Yeah, I don't think people should do this, this, and that." And Brian judges him by saying, "Well, I think that's a very boring life."
Gave us the parts that we have,
Yeah.
and to be able to enjoy each other
In a proper context.
and
you
and
admit in a
and
proper context.
and
right?
I don't see anything wrong
Like-
with that
like,
if
hold
it's
on.
consensual. And I
But-
don't
Let's
see
close
anything
it
wrong
off.
with it.
Final point.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so we went right off the immigration issue.
Well, we did a little bit,
I think, yeah, I think the problem is we
just a little bit.
yeah, as when we can't engage in hypotheticals, it really is difficult to.
I was staring at this the whole
No,
time.
we went right off the immigration
What
issue.
is this that
we
he's
did a little
drinking?
I think, yeah, I think the problem is we
Just a little bit.
yeah, as when
See, the whole time, this thing right here, I saw this top part right here, the nuzzle or whatever. And the whole time I was staring at that thinking, like, what does he have right there? Is that like a yogurt pouch or something? Like a kid's yogurt pouch? So I see him
we
drinking
can't
it.
engage.
What is this? Is it an adult yogurt pouch? It just reminds me of my kids. My kids, they eat these like yogurt pouches. It looks just like that, but the kids' version is obviously smaller. But he's drinking this huge version. I'm like, what is this?
Hypotheticals, it really is difficult to
Yeah.
arrive at kind of a substantive moral argument. And I think if you base your entire political framework off of a president rather than off of policies, it becomes super difficult to talk about issues, because issues transcend presidencies. As for the last part that we were talking about, I am interested in making this a country where it is easier for good people to live good lives. And there are plenty of ways in which we apply limits to people's abilities to do what they want to do, because we think that it would be better for them and we think it would be better for the society at large. And I do not think it is at all unreasonable to limit the production of, including make illegal the production of, things like pornography, which are a coercive force that make people addicted. They create addicts. Well, I mean, this is borne out as well in the evidence. But what I think is most important is that it limits their agency. I want a society that does have freedom, but it's freedom to pursue moral acts free of coercion. And the problem is right now we live in a coercive society. We live in a society where drugs, alcohol, and pornography are super easy to get.
Can I just give
And
a
I think
quick
that's a huge problem.
Yeah, and
2 minute? Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you guys both for being here. This has been a lively debate, that's for sure.
Thank you.
You said you want good people to live good lives.
But yet you voted for a 34 count felon. Tisk, tisk. The guy he's debating, it's two guys. I don't know. The main guy is Kai Schwemmer. I don't know much about him. And I don't know who the other guy is, but they're, for the most part, the only thing is I think they're Mormons, but I'm not for sure. But anyway, for the most part, they're pretty base, and they actually gave him a good argument and actually came off way more smart than Brian did.
I think good people can be defined as not just American citizens. I think there are good people all over the world. There are people in this country that are undocumented, that are good people. I want them to live good lives, and I want it to be easier for them. And if you deport every single person in this country that is undocumented, you're making their lives far worse. These are good people, and you're making them lives worse. It's also, I feel, an unfair judgment to say porn is bad for everybody. There are studies that I can show you that porn is bad. Well, I can also tell you that there are some men that maybe might not have luck with women, some women that might not have luck with men, and they enjoy it, and they're not addicted to it. Now, there are always going to be cases and exceptions where people that do have addictions. I agree with you, but there are also plenty of people who have been married for 20, 30, 40 years, and maybe they take their wife to a strip club. I don't know. Maybe they do other extracurricular activities, and I would tell you, because I've talked to some of these people, and that their marriages are.
Brian talks to everybody. Brian has talked to everybody. It's like every topic they bring up is like, I talked to these people. I've talked to strippers. I talked to married couples that take each other to the strip clubs. I talked to Alex Jones's ex-wife. I talked to Nick Shirley's mother. Like where does this guy talk to everybody at?
40 years. And maybe they take their wife to a strip club. I don't know. Maybe they do other extracurricular activities. And I would tell you, because I've talked to some of these people, that their marriages are stronger because of it. So the fundamental difference is,
if you have to take your wife or your husband or whatever to the strip club, it's probably not in good shape. It's probably not in good shape. It would be like the same at defending like open marriages or something, and their marriage is stronger because of it. Like, I'm sure there's rare cases where that's the case, but if it's resorting to open marriage, it's probably not in good shape.
I don't want to tell other people what to do. If you don't want to have sex until marriage, I totally support you in doing that. You have the right to do that, whether it's your religion, I don't care. You have the right to make that decision for yourself, but I don't want to judge you on that. Okay. I made a joke earlier about boring. I was being facetious, but you have that right. And I wouldn't attack is the wrong word. I wouldn't judge you for that. Okay. He's a religious guy. This is what he believes in. Great. Just like I wouldn't judge somebody if they slept with a lot of people before marriage.
Yeah, you would just judge them if they voted for Trump, though. You would just judge them if they voted for Trump.
It's their right to do so long as it's consensual. This is the problem I have with religion. And going back to you want good people living good lives. I think you genuinely believe that, but you're not applying it to everybody, just American citizens. And I find that extremely problematic. And the last thing I will say, I agreed to doing this debate, and I certainly don't regret it because you guys wanted to talk about immigration. I tried to do the best I could in staying on topic. But I think there are in my opinion, far more serious and prevalent topics to be discussing now than undocumented immigrants, the war in Iran, our economy, gas prices. There are so many things that we could discuss right now.
Things that lefties didn't care about when Joe Biden was in charge. It's funny, the lefties, remember when the gas prices went up when Biden was president? What did the lefties tell us? They're like, Joe Biden doesn't control the gas prices. Like, you stupid right-wing chud. The president, Joe Biden, doesn't have any control over the gas prices. But now that Donald Trump is president, all of a sudden, did you see what Donald Trump did to the gas prices? Did you see that?
You really care about money and saving money in this country, then maybe we should be talking about $2 billion that we're spending every day. Imagine what that money could be used to help Americans in this country that are struggling. So I know you guys aren't pro-MAGA. That's cool. I appreciate that. But I agree with you. In general, I want good people to live good lives. But to me, that doesn't only include American citizens. So I appreciate the conversation. I can be honest with you, and this is knocking on me and complimenting you. When I was in my early 20s, I couldn't even tie my shoe. So I didn't know what political.
I still don't think you could. I still don't think the jury's still out if you can't tie your shoe now.
Party I was in, I was getting my career started in radio. I didn't know if I was a liberal. I think it's great that you guys are active. I see some of your videos on social media. We are in the same circles. We know some of the same people. And
so he's still the same. He hasn't evolved at all. He still doesn't know if he's a liberal. He still thinks he's not. He still doesn't know if he's a liberal. He still hosts a TV show. Still doesn't know how to tie his shoes.
And, the people, I wouldn't have done this if I didn't hear from certain people that said a lot of nice things about you.
Oh.
They said you were a good guy and it'll be a respectful debate, which I appreciate. As you know, sometimes in my videos, I get very heated with people, very heated. It's part of my, aura, I guess. I don't know. So hopefully I gave you guys respect too.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the conversation and I would love to have a debate about Donald Trump, of course.
Absolutely, Brett.
Next time.
Thanks, guys.
You want to say anything, Jackson?
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess just to sum it up, I think Kai covered almost all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the core of my argument is that if we have mass deportations, we have a lot of illegal immigrants that are here. There's three options. There's to keep them, there's to deport them, there's to codify them. And we agreed that keep and codify were both immoral. In this scenario, I say, what should laws do? Well, we agreed that laws should be good and just and prioritizing citizens. So therefore, I think it follows that mass deportations are the moral, correct decision for the American justice system to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. We'll link all your socials below. Thanks.
So there you go. That was the debate between Brian Shapiro and Kai Schwemmer. And again, I wish I knew who the other kid was, But both those kids did a good job for being young guys. They've proven that they're already way more smarter than Brian Shapiro is, was, and ever will be. I also noticed that at the end, Brian Shapiro, of course, dropping the names in there. He always has to do that. He has to bring up that he knows a lot of people. He's friends with a lot of people. He never fails. But this was actually a hilarious debate. It's just funny that everyone that Brian debates, like, they openly laugh at him while they're debating him, because they all could see that this is a ridiculous man. Like, he's a ridiculous human being. And they also already catch on that all he wants to do is spurg about Trump. Like, I don't know if those two were familiar with Brian before this debate, but if they weren't, let's assume they weren't. It only took him about 2 hours with the guy to already know, like, oh, this guy just loves to spurg about Trump. All he knows is spurging about Trump. He's always making emotional reactions. He's constantly contradicting himself and showing him to be a hypocrite, where he says, oh, you shouldn't judge people, but then he's constantly judging people. Again, I just still don't know. Like, is he a real person or is this a character? I would not be surprised. And if this is a character, by the way, if he's just playing the stereotypical lefty liberal guy who's over the top and has this over top Trump derangement syndrome, then I think he's a genius. I think he's a comedy genius. But if he's for real, well, then, it's a whole other story. And what do you guys think about that, though? What do you guys think about this video? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. And also check out other videos that I have of Bryce Shap if you enjoy. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the cool stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.